It's the World Series of Sim Racing here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting.
Oh, contact!
It's some contact. Holds on for now. It's Vincent Soracali's going to be able to hold on. 3 wide, 2 wide. Ryan Bird trying to be the hero. He'll door smack once again in the center of the corner. Figure out how to get out of the way. Vinny breaks him. He breaks him across the line. The 15 wins. One last chance, one last opportunity. He's digging. He's climbing. He's right on the bumper. Blocking going to be made. Will there be contact? Here comes Thompson. Check on the outside. We're going to be blocked, defended. Brian Johnson, O'Brien will win. Here comes Vincent Soar to the inside, but it's not enough. Brian Johnson wins, and it's going to be the 13th trying his best. He'll hold on, or will he cross the line? It's Cedric Hunter by a nose. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Wednesday night. Tonight, we give you coverage of the WSSR Cup Series. As this evening, we start off on a brand new journey. The regular season concluded last week at Bristol. Tonight, we start off the playoffs. We start at one of the biggest tracks we could head to, and it's a super speedway. Welcome to Talladega for the first race of the round of 16. And we are excited again to give you all the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me up the booth is going to be Justin Malarkey. And Justin, an incredible 12-race regular season has now come together for tonight to start off the first race of the round of 16 to set off the journey of who's going to become the Season 9 champion.
Season 9 champion, it all starts tonight. Talladega, big 2.66 mile track, high banking, similar to the banking last week at Bristol, but we're going to have a wider track, a longer track. Sam, these drivers will definitely be going 3 wide tonight like they were last week, but they're going to be going twice as fast.
Yeah, still can't get over how crazy we got to see some of the action last week at Bristol. The fact that we had 2 rows of 3 wide racing and there wasn't a caution thrown for that incredible action. But tonight, we're expecting 3 wide racing. Majority going to be 2 wide, but which lane will be the dominant lane to be in? Traditionally, in the past couple, I would say past a year to the last couple of months, it's been the outside lane. It's been the faster one of the 2 and sometimes 3 lanes that will be utilized, but we'll have to wait and see how drivers can get in line, find your teammates, and it's all going to start in qualifying. As qualifying is about to be starting up here. Justin, I think qualifying has ebbed and flowed throughout iRacing in the way that we've seen the different cars to change up with the draft package. Some draft packages allow you to really work through the field and make your way up front pretty easily, but it seems like with this new next-gen aero package, it's hard to start making any big moves, especially by yourself.
Especially by yourself. It seems like when we watch a driver pull out, they hit that wall of air, immediately just slows the car down. It seems like these cars are so slick that they just want to really be tucked up behind someone getting that momentum. But if you do pull out, you got to have help. We talked about it at different types of restrictor plate races throughout the season. These teams, there's a lot of teams out in this league. There's drivers out there, 2, 3, 4 car teams. We expect to see them migrate together, and some of those drivers, maybe they'll be the ones that push it 3 wide up top. This track's gonna be plenty wide for it. It's all gonna be about having that car behind you pushing.
As qualifying is starting, all drivers will have 2 laps to put down their fastest time, but only with 5 minutes on the clock. We're already almost a minute down, and drivers are just getting prepared for their first laps to be counted. For some others, getting prepared to start their first lap. And another thing that's been changing is which lap is the faster lap. For the longest time with this next-gen car, it was the first lap that was highly important to put down the fastest time. You throw this machine into fourth gear and you hope for the best. Other drivers have figured out it's the second lap, but you really have to build up the momentum. As you can see, one of the drivers building up the momentum, it's Ken Campbell, lap number 1, and it is fully build-up speed moments here. Staying high as you can be, and then cranks it down low for lap number 2, and this is the money lap for the 15.
15 going to drop it right down to the yellow line, like you mentioned. Staying up high, the reason why, longer distance, build up that power in the motor, and then try and use that banking, a little bit of a hill coming past the start-finish line, just ever so slightly trying to get the car to rotate down to the bottom, go down the hill like a roller coaster, gain a little speed. BC's already halfway down this back straightaway, gonna try and pull off the best lap, and he's only gonna have one chance. As you saw, the first lap was that throwaway lap on the high line, so he's got to hit his marks going through this corner.
Drivers are getting prepared for these laps to start counting again. Being up front can have its advantages. Be the control vehicle and figure out what lane you and most likely your team are going to want to work with. Other drivers might have other mentalities of starting in the back, and there's a few that will be sent to the back once we start to grid up. Richard Wolsifer, Shane Tarian, and those are going to be the 2 drivers sent to the back with penalties after last week's race. So we'll see if any of their teammates are going to start in the further back with them, as Ken Campbell maxing out the speed in the 15 with a 53.079, but will be taken away from our Daytona winner from early in the middle of the regular season. It's Mike Tellier up front.
Mike Tellier showing right now that he has super speedway figured out. He's got the qualifying figured out. We know he's got the race pace figured out, laying down a nice fast lap. But there's going to be other drivers out there still chasing. We got 2 minutes left in here. We talk about qualifying each week. This might be a track where starting up front, starting in the middle, or in the back might not be as important as other tracks, because you definitely can pass here. But the biggest thing, Sam, is these drivers will be running from first to last, probably anywhere from 2 to 3, maybe 4 seconds apart, depending on how spread out they get. So you still have a chance, and when you're in the back, you could get to the front. You just got to have that drafting help.
Wanting to find some help is a driver that's been top of the board the most out of anyone in this season. You have Gavin Rogers in the 75 trying to grab another pole if possible. First lap for Gavin Rogers, good enough for 23rd, and it's now quickly dropping down to 25th currently. But Rogers, one of the drivers that's been grabbing the poles the most this season, a total of 6 poles entering tonight, looking for lucky number 7 if possible to start off the playoffs for Rogers. As seen other drivers trying to top the board, it's Aaron Smith the second top the board currently. Rogers, though, just coming up shy. It will be 9th place for the 75.
75, 9th place, so different than seeing him up on that front row like we've been accustomed to. But right now we're out here watching Chris Stitz, see if he can lay down another nice lap. Just had him back a couple weeks ago at Indy, starting inside the top 5. See if he's going to be able to tonight, choosing to use that higher lane, getting the power wound up in the motor. Then we expect to see him cut it back down here to the bottom and utilize a shorter distance around. But as we say that, Ryan Kelly, he goes out and lays down the fastest lap. But I don't believe Chris Stitz is actually going to get out there and do another lap. We're here under 30 seconds, Sam. Don't think he's going to get that lap in.
Yeah, it's a little too far, but still going to at least see what the potential could have been. Is going to be the 17 who's continuing to stay out on track. But top of the board, it's going to be Ying Yang drivers of Ryan Kelly and Larry Yingling. Yingling was the driver that got the pole on our last Super Speedway race back in race number 6 at the Daytona Oval. Coming up shy in 2nd place, but at least having a familiar face around him has got to be nice to know. As qualifying officially concludes, Stitz was not able to get a time in, and we will have 37 drivers entering into tonight's warm-up and expected to take the green here this evening. As now with qualifying practice over, we enter a 5-minute warm-up period, allowing the drivers to get a little bit more practice time if they want to get any last little bit adjustments of maybe a pit stop entry, figuring out where their pit stall is, and as well any last drafting attempts or practice moves they want to try out. And as well, this gives us time to take a closer look at our schedules of how this season has progressed so far, as well as the point standings, which let's take a look at how the point standings have been so far this season. We have gotten down to our 16 drivers that made the playoffs And what a class of drivers we have upon us here. Top of the board, going to be Gavin Rogers with all of the bonus points. Enabled the 75 to really be up front with a comfortable gap to work with to try to make the round of 11. Vincent Sora coming away with your regular season championship, but will fall down to second position. But the drivers that are really in a tough spot that need a solid run are going to be the drivers from 12th down to 16th. Those drivers, they're the furthest back. They're outside of the cut line for our top 11. And Justin, this is the key markers of drivers. It all starts here at Talladega.
Well, any driver right now in the bottom half, they really got to make sure that tonight, I think some of the goals have to be get out there, lead a lap at least. If you got to do it under caution, do it by staying out maybe one on the cycle, the pit stops, one extra lap. I think getting that bonus point really helps you because you don't know what can happen in the final lap. And then the other big thing is going to be try to lead the most laps. Only one driver can do it. But hey, if you can get those bonus points, it'll at least salvage a day that could potentially be looking good until that final corner coming out of turn 4. You don't know what can happen. That's the problem with restrictor plate races, Sam. You don't know what's going to happen until the end.
It's very difficult to try to predict that. As we move away from our point standings, we head over to how this season has progressed. How did we get to our playoffs? And it was a 12-race hunt to see who was going to be finding themselves in the top 16. Few drivers dominated. Gavin Rogers with the most wins this season so far with 3 finds himself getting a quick double back-to-back win earlier in the season, and then also grabbing the win at Le Mans last week. Got to see Ryan Kelly back into victory lane for the second time. We've also seen Vincent Sora win twice. Zach Hall has won twice. And we've also seen the likes of John Forbes in a victory lane. We talked about Mike Tellier shocking a victory at Daytona. That kind of really changed some drivers. On some were hoping to grab a win that could have given bonus points entering the playoffs, but not the case. And as well, our first race of the season winner being Cedric Hunter, as that's how the season's going to be. But 6 races left in the season. You have Talladega tonight, Darlington before we cut it down and eliminate 5 drivers before we head to Charlotte Oval, Richmond before we cut it down again, down to our final 6 that will race at North Wilkesboro and Las Vegas to see who can have the most points to win the Season 9 championship. Justin, it all starts here at Talladega. The pressure's on, and now it's time to see if they can really find their right markers, which also sends us to our pick'ems. Who are drivers that we feel like are focus points, potential winners, or drivers that just need a good run? I'm going to go with the driver that just needs a good run. Talk to some of the drivers on who they felt like were drivers that might be eliminated this round. One of those names being tossed around was Trenton Jump. Jump's going to be my pick of a driver to watch out for here tonight. Not a lot of friends out there on track, but sometimes your friends could be your enemies and causing some big wrecks in the 46. Trying to have a good super speedway race here this evening. I think he's going to be my pick'em and drive to watch out for here tonight, needing a good run. But I know a team that was looking strong. Justin, yourself, you picked one of the drivers that might be also another big factor to watch out for.
I'm going with the 07 Brian Noel. Thinking back to Atlanta Super Speedway when he was running really strong up there. I know they had some issues with the team falling apart due to some internet connections, but Brian Noel, I think tonight he's going to be out there doing really well. We know that's a strong team.
Also part of a team, as part of our team, running productions in the background. That's Robert Moyer Jr., who will be running graphics. His pick, Ken Campbell, for the second week in a row, hoping for better luck for the Storm Motorsports driver. I know for Ken, it's hard to be a toss-up. He's had terrible luck at moments. He's had good luck very few races this season, and maybe it will change here tonight. But that's going to be our 3 drivers. Those are our pick'ems: Trenton Jump, Brian Noel, and Ken Campbell. As warm-up period has just finished up, we're about to be entering into our grid as you are watching the WSSR Cup Series first race of the playoffs and the start the round of 16 here at Talladega. It has been a pleasure to give you the coverage all throughout the season, but it's time to see where the drivers will start out here tonight. 100 laps at Talladega. We will have a stage break at the end of lap 20. No fast repairs or extra sets of tires at pit road. It could be coming down to strategy if we stay green or it could come down to survival if calamity strikes. But top of the board, liking where he starts, it's Ryan Kelly in the 3 machine. Starting to his outside, teammate of Yin Yang Racing, it's Larry Yingling in the 67. Aaron Smith, the second from Lucky Ducks, going to be the first of the team in 3rd. Another strong team that's very good at Daytona. Watch out for Sky Motorsports being led by Bronson Stafford in 4th place. Driver that wants a good start to the playoffs, it's John Forbes in the 11 machine in 5th. Mike Tellier, winner of Daytona, will start in 6th position. Robert's pick, Ken Campbell, starting in 7th. Another driver that's from Lucky Ducks in the 7 machine starting 8th, it's Douglas Newbigin. Then right next to him, going to be the 77 of Doug Drua, who's hoping for a good run and finish out our top 10. It's the 32 of Zach Hall.
And going off in 11th position, going to be the 06 Tom Bourne alongside Gavin Rogers in the 12th position. Brian McCann rolling off in 13th, and Shane Therrien in 14th position. Joshua Ganada rolling off 15th, and Brian Noel, my pick, going in 16th position. Ollie Fonseca 17th. We've seen a lot of speed out of him at these super speedway races, and Cody Reed equally as fast on these types of tracks. 19th position going to be Ed Shearer Jr. Vincent Sora rolling off in 20th.
And in 21st, we're going to find ourselves with Christopher Wade in the 53. Cedric Hunter, our first winner of the season, starts all the way back in 22nd position. Nick Crawford, teammate of Cedric Hunter from Snow Desert Racing, will start all the way down in 23rd place. Carl Pooler from Limitless will start in 24th, with Christopher Norris back in 25th position. Brian P. Johnson all the way down in 26th place with Thompson. Check another dark horse, needing a strong start to the playoffs in this first round, starting all the way back down in 27th position. 28th is the 2 of Danny Cochran. Jared Hughes, teammate of Gavin Rogers from Next Level Motorsports, starting all the way down in 29th, with GT Rosario in the 14, finishing out our top 30.
And 31st going to be Trenton Jump, your pick, Sam, rolling off in the 31st position, car number 46. Then Dakota Maniz alongside 32nd position, car number 5. Tyler Dengler in 33rd, rolling off with the number 19 machine. And 34th, Richard Wolfeser in the 56 machine. And then Ben Kinney, 98 car, 35th position. Anthony Gaudio, the 29 in the 36th position. And then we saw in qualifying, Chris Diss didn't get those laps in. Going to be rolling off 37th. He can only go forward, right, Sam?
Can go forward and hoping to avoid any calamity. Again, tonight's race, 100 laps, stage break at the end of lap 20, 0 fast repairs, and 4 extra sets of tires. Pit road as the drivers are pacing here tonight. 37 expected to take the green, but also end of the line penalties for some drivers here this evening. Sent to the end of the line. It's going to be a few drivers with optional picks for themselves, but forced to. Shane Therrien, Richard Wolfeser both had penalties carrying over from last week at Bristol. Joining to the back, going to be Jared Hughes, Carl Pooler as well, going to be taking an EOL to the end of the line. So for some drivers, I think asking for an EOL to start with some teammates or allies, because alliances, Justin, a big thing that drivers sometimes work on going into a super speedway week is who are you working with besides your teammates and maybe a couple of your friends that you know, is how big of a group can you build out?
Yeah, definitely talking a lot about teams tonight. I feel like we'll be mentioning all these team cars, but you know what, Sam? You have Trenton Jump picked, and what you said stood out to me. Not really having the massive team support out there. Personally, sometimes when I'm at these tracks, that's the thing I want the most. It's just for me to go out there, make my own decisions, not have to worry about it. Let me cut this guy slack, or let me go up high because he's up high. No, just run your race, get to the front, figure it out. Sometimes that might even be a blessing in disguise.
I know for Trenton Jump, he allianced himself with Sky Motorsports that found themselves dominating at the end of Daytona, hoping for similar results here tonight. But a lot of drivers hoping to find themselves with good spacing, finding some good allies behind them to work with. But up front, it's Ryan Kelly, Larry Yingling into the restart zone in the playoffs for Season 9 begin as the drivers get up to gear and roar down into turn number 1. It's Kelly, Yingling, and they're already trying to go 3 wide as Sky Motorsports bounces to the 3rd lane. It's Larry Yingling left on his lonesome in the middle.
The 67 has to be thinking, really, turn 1, they're going to put us 3 wide. He's going to drop back to maybe outside the top 10. So quick, but will he have help now? And will these guys on that outside line pull down in front of him? That's going to be the big question. You see these 2 lanes on the outside. They don't have it figured out like the inside. Ryan Kelly, they're going to storm away into turn 1.
And with those surprising drivers in that third groove are drivers that are notoriously known for trying to be control vehicles. You have Sky Motorsports, Lucky Ducks, and Gavin Rogers for Next Level Motorsports in that third lane. Trouble is that they're stuck 3 wide, and with all the side drafting, it's enabled our top 5 to just pull away. Ryan Kelly, Aaron Smith II, John Force, Ken Campbell, and Drew Jua are just scampering away as everyone else is stuck 3 wide.
If you're in the top 5 right now, you're pretty happy. You're single file at Talladega. Don't have anyone side drafting. You're getting to a couple laps here early without the people alongside you. But as I say that, you get a driver pulling outside. It looks like is that the 06 Tom Bourne. And just like that, that single file line's gone. They're now 2 by 2 all the way through this track, even 3 wide halfway through it.
I'm curious on this type of a race. Again, you have the 16 drivers that are racing for a championship, that being the likes of Gavin Rogers, Vincent Sora, Zach Hall, Larry England, Ryan Kelly, Drew Jewell, Shane Terrian, John Forbes, Cedric Hunter, Edward Shore Jr., Ryan Johnson, Joshua Kanata, Trenton Jump, Brian McCann, and Tom Sinchek, as well as Aaron Smith II. Those 16 drivers all have the same mentality. Be up front, get stage bonus points at the end of lap 20. Be inside the top 10, you get stage bonus points. But if you're everyone else, Justin, you're racing for a win here tonight and kind of play spoiler. We've seen that in the past. Cody Reed's been playing major spoilers, I think back to last season when 2 seasons ago, when he did the daring pass to make his way in stealing the win over Ben Nelson, as well as getting the win over Zach Hall. But at this current time, it's Cody Reed who's helping the outside groove get moving. The 25 wants to be the leader, but he helps Drew Jewell take the top spot as we're still 3 wide up front. And I don't think they're going to be waiting for any patience. It is go time. Position yourself up front immediately.
Oh, I think that 25 machine, Cody Reed, he's one of the most fun drivers to watch when you're on these types of tracks. He's never riding around. He's never logging laps. I feel like he's always making moves. I think back to Atlanta, he was one of the drivers always testing the inside lane, going down that front straightaway, trying to get down below the line, make some moves. He's not afraid to get out there and shake it up. So we'll definitely be talking about him tonight. As you see right here, we're on board with him. He's got a nice little gap behind him. Right up there, sucked up behind the leader, Drew Jewell, who now, Trent Jump, look at that. Did he not start in the back? And look at that, Sam. He's going to take the lead.
Trent Jump looking for alliances, as also of note, our front row dropping into the back, Ryan Kelly as well as Larry Yingling decided to get out of our front group, recognizing they're getting a lot more racier than maybe they're comfortable with. Is now going to be your front 2. Nick Crawford dashing to the front. 74 will lead a lap for himself, as well as Trent Jump trying to lead a lap in. It's going to be picking and choosing who's got the better run. It really looks like right now, Justin, it's pairs. If you can find the right pair to really give you a good push on the outside, you can get to the front, but then you have to drop to the bottom, cool off the engine temps before you find yourself blowing up after a lap.
Yeah, definitely cool off the engine temps. These certain ways that drivers sit maybe in the cockpit, if they're not able to see all those gauges all the time, it's really important to make sure you're aware of how much you're pushing. I mean, these drivers are getting really aggressive right now, pushing. You can see even through the corners. That heat the motor up really fast. I mean, these drivers, they're making moves, Sam. This 5 laps in, these drivers are acting like there's 5 to go in this race.
I mean, they are really pushing every little bit, even through the corners. That's usually a no. You do not want to push. One of the major rules of super speedway racing is don't push through the corner. And I saw a couple of drivers pushing each other, trying to find maximum effort of getting the momentum off the exit of the corner, but just not able to do so. But a shocking driver up front. Talk about some of the dark horse drivers to watch out for. Tom Sinchek leading this race on the outside, but he's out of the battle with the Lucky Duck drivers to the inside groove of Brian Noel, as well as seeing Drew Jewell, Nick Crawford. They're making it work on the inside groove, as the middle lane was being held by the 7 of Douglas Newbigging, but Newbigging just had to back out of there. The 7 was losing momentum and it falls right behind his teammate.
Look at that. Now he's going to go back to the middle. Oh my God, he may have even got into his teammate there. Looked like they got a little squirrely. That momentum breaks up big time, like you said. And now look, the outside line, get that run, but the 70 is going to get right back to the 77 and try and push that middle line, keep them going with the momentum. But these cars, looks like they're really, really dancing all over the track, Sam.
They're dancing, one, because drivers are trying to utilize the momentum they're building up that they carry throughout the backstretch, the front stretch. When you get a good run, these drivers are not letting off. They are trying to carry every little momentum they can, as the inside groove is losing all types of pace currently, but also seeing drivers, they're dancing to find openings that might advance them forward in positionings. I mean, Nick Crawford, who leads this race, he's up 22 positions. Also, other drivers, Tom Sidchek, up 23 spots for himself. All these drivers that started in the back half of the pack thought maybe traffic was going to be hard to get by each other. They're showing it is easy to do so, at least in these early to first 10 laps.
Oh, the passing is definitely happening all over this track, but I think a lot of it has to do with some of the guys are realizing maybe they didn't want to be up in this mess and they pulled over, kind of broke the momentum of certain packs. But you're really seeing some massive runs. That inside line seems like it disappears, and then the middle line gets a ton of room. And right here, you're seeing all that.
Oh, trouble though! Further in the back, some playoff contenders involved. Zach Hall, Aaron Smith the second, and the whole entire back half of the front group caught up in a mess. The second pack's trying to slow down. And calamity strikes before even lap number 10 enters the picture.
Yeah, there has to be a lot of frustrated drivers right here, not even 10% of the way through this race, and drivers already wrecking playoff implications like you mentioned. This is not going to be good. These drivers, these cars, they need speed. They need to be fast and to stay in this draft. Damage will not help them.
As looking at the drivers involved with this wreck, it looks to be around the 70 of Aaron Smith the second really getting pinched involved in this wreck. Only driver with required damage is Tom Bourne in the 06, who was behind the 70, and you're going to see drivers get into the outside wall. It kind of checks everyone up, and just like that one blink of an eye, drivers are darting back and forth even more aggressively. There's just nowhere to go. GT Rosari getting into Brian Noel, and the first big wreck of the evening strikes on lap number 8.
And that happened on a straightaway. That's sometimes the hardest part, is these straightaways very hard to see. Right here, we're on board with the 13, Cedric Hunter, see what he's able to see. Looks like, I think he ends up down in the grass to avoid everything. See right here, he's starting to throw it. He goes hard left to try and get away from all these cars spinning there, but he's just praying they stay up high, and they do. I think the 70 is going to come down here at the last second, but Cedric Hunter, he was smart. He slowed down, pretty much stopped on track to make sure he avoided everyone.
Trying your best. That's the different, points some drivers take. Some dart immediately to the inside once they see a group building up smoke, and for others, they try to slam on their brakes. Sometimes they're able to slow down. Other times, they're not able to, as seeing half the field decided to come into pit road. Looks like damage repair for most. Others be going with a little bit of fuel strategy, as tonight's race, again, stage break at the end of lap 20. Curious if maybe drivers are thinking about just topping off on fuel, not recognizing, hey, this could be a long race, and trying to time out their strategies. Or for some, it's get to the end of the line, because the back half of the pack might be the safer place to be for this next restart, because we're going to be restarting with less than 10 laps to go. And Justin, with how important stage points could be for making it to the next round of the playoffs, I don't think it's going to be any more calmer than what we saw. It could be even more aggressive big moves that we're going to be seeing on this next restart.
Well, I agree with you based off of what we saw here in the opening 8 laps before that caution. But I think we always have to talk. We talk about it a lot on this broadcast. You got to be able to be at the end of these races to get the max amount of points. You got to be running, and you got to be running with no damage so you have a fast car. Some of these guys caught up in this accident. How's it going to affect them? You do not want to finish in the 30s at Talladega. You want to come out of here with a top 10 so you can carry that momentum into Darlington next week. But some of these drivers right now, they're going to be having a challenge getting those cars fixed and getting them up to speed.
Getting up to speed, as I do want to say thank you to our major sponsor for the WSSR Cup Series. What are all these drivers racing for? They're racing for a Trophy Smack trophy. As the past 2 seasons, an actual trophy, custom trophy designed by Zach Hall for our championship driver Benjamin Nelson has been awarded. And for this season, it's the same. Whoever wins this championship going to be gifted a custom Trophy Smack trophy, as well as even before the championship trophies were given out, we were giving out rings from Trophy Smack. So if you'd like to find yourself getting a championship trophy, belt, ring, or even a wall smack, head on over to trophysmack.com. And remember, on purchasing, to use the promo code WSSR SMACK for 10% off. Driver Smack, well, more known when giving out trophies for fantasy football. I know fantasy football right around the corner. Well, if you're not even looking for an iRacing championship to be customized, we check out their different wide range of customs and pre-made trophies for fantasy football or any other fantasy sports. Thank you to Trophy Smack for being a primary sponsor for the WSSR Cup Series as we get ourselves prepared to get back to green flag racing. Looking at the drivers that can't enter pit road, it looks to be from 24th back to 37th. All entered pit road. Tom Bourne's required damage is gone, but he's got a lot of optional, so he's forced into pit road to get that damage repaired. But Justin, for the drivers that are up front, you have Trenton Jump, Christopher Norris, Ken Campbell, Cody Reed, Tom Sinchek, your top 5. How do you feel like you're gonna have to resettle yourself, getting ready to go green, and it's going to be a 9-lap shootout from here to the end of the stage?
Well, I think these drivers have learned really quick in the opening 8 laps that this isn't like other drive packages where maybe you were able to kind of stay on the bottom and run 2x2 and protect that inside line, and you can pretty much run a whole fuel run feeling like you're somewhat safe. It seems like this package, these drivers get massive runs. They're able to make the moves. They're able to pull out with help and get around cars and run 2, 3 wide. It seems like there's a lot of coming and going with this type of package, which leads to a lot more beating and banging versus some of the other types of packages out there where it seems like you get stuck 2x2 and you really can't make those crazy moves.
Yeah, the stuck 2x2 or even stuck single file is something that were nervous about entering tonight, just based off of the dominance that we could see at Atlanta or sometimes at a Daytona. But with how wide this track is at Talladega, it's enabled these drivers to have the opportunities to stay 3 wide, and seeing the big runs from whatever lane finally gets the big push off the exit of these corners. But for us here tonight, we'll get ready for a 9-lap shootout to the end of the stage. Stage break is at the end of lap 20. But if we get a caution between lap 15 and 20, we will find ourselves ending the stage there. Top 10 drivers get bonus points, and everyone wants to be the winner at the end of this stage. As Trenton Jump, Christopher Norris, get ready. Jump gets the better run on the outside with Cody Reed right behind him as we are back to green flag action here at Talladega for the first race of the playoffs for the round of 16. And here we go, Justin, as they roar through 1 and 2. That inside row starting to build up the momentum.
We're about to find out if these drivers use that caution lap to calm their nerves down. Are they going to start racing more 2x2 casually? That answer, I would say no. Chris Stitz got this new bigging. 3rd row, up high. The 1, 7, and 7. They're going to use momentum. Cody Reed going to give a big push to Trenton Jump. That outside line, will they run out of momentum? They got another car coming up there. Josh looking out a 16 machine. Don't go up high. We're going to have about 3 lanes, but that top lane, not enough cars. But as I said, get another driver pulling out. And before that, a couple more guys pulling up there. So these drivers know their speed all over this track. Ken Campbell, he's going to make the move to the outside. Is he going to get this lap led with the help of Ollie Fonseca? I think so.
And it will be the 15 machine leading that lap, as they're almost going to be a stack 4 wide as Joshua Kanata stuck to that outside, almost up to the wall for himself. And new cluster driver trying to work on that 3rd groove, as the middle lane is where the speed has been at. Ollie Fonseca going to be now the new leader, but Douglas Newbigging doesn't want to wait, bouncing to the outside by himself. Newbigging, Shane Terrian, they work as a duo. Now to the outside groove, Terrian to the middle. They are dashing back and forth, find an opening, and you hope your nose is going to be ahead, as we're going to be 3 wide, now battling for 3rd place. And that at middle and outside groove, they're getting a little bit close next to one another, bouncing against each other. We're seeing a little bit of movement that is going to get dangerous, as we're 4 wide now battling for 10th place.
Yeah, you saw that 4 wide happen right there. That's going through tribal. Very hard to do 4 wide. Track is probably the least amount of width right there, but also the least amount of banking. Very hard. You're going to stay 4 wide, still through this corner. This is getting really nervous right now. These drivers are all hoping everyone can hold their grooves. These cars are dancing around, but right now they cannot dance around when they are 4 wide. Not enough room for it. Payne, look at that. He's in the 9 machine up there. He's getting pushed all around from the 61 Bronson Stafford. Just pushing down the straightaway. That's going to build up a lot of momentum on that outside line.
As we were looking back from Ollie Fonseca in the 24, it just looks like chaos, as a little bit of drivers once again getting close to the outside wall. It's going to be Anthony Gaudio, Bronson Stafford, who looked a little bit off the line through 3 and 4 on the outside groove, but you can see it there. 3 wide, almost all the way through this front pack. Some drivers want to poke the nose to go 4 wide, but they'll stay 3 by 3 by 3 all the way through, except for our top 2, where they'll go 2 wide. Shane Darian trying to go to the point as he drops all the way from the top groove down to the inside, and we're 3 wide for the lead again.
Looked like Ken Campbell got a little clip in the rear bumper there through that turn, but able to keep it going straight. That's the scary part right here. Look at these drivers. They're even getting below the yellow line as they're getting pushed from below. I mean, they're making really aggressive moves on these back straightaways, just trying to get from the top lane to the middle lane, to the middle lane to the bottom lane. These drivers are going all over this track. They're putting on a show, but it's lap 15. They have to understand, yes, the stage points are coming, but what's more important, getting the stage points or being there at the end of this race right now? That's the risk versus reward.
It is a giant risk reward system as they're 4 wide again, almost 5 wide as drivers continue to try to find an opening to slot into, but his tread jump, that's the fade backwards, finally gets slotted in. Up front, it's Anthony Gaudio, Brian P. Johnson, but on the apron, Mike Tellier, he's got to try to slow down as he's got to stay on the apron, will do so. The rest of the field continue to keep their foot in the throttle, and we stay green. 5 laps to go before the stage is over, but if a caution strikes now, the field will be stuck. Wherever they run at the time of a caution could end this stage immediately before we get to the end of lap 20, and that's why we're seeing all of the aggression ramping up even more with Gaudio, Reed, with Johnson leading so far.
Anthony Gaudio, 29 machine in the lead, but almost gets shuffled 3 wide, and there they go.
Cody Reed down to the apron. We stay green. Reed's got to come back up on track. And once again, we're going to be sticking to 3 wide, almost 4 wide deeper in the field, able to do so. And now it's going to be Aaron Smith II. Johnson moving forward as they reset. And for drivers that did not pit for tires, they had 4 sets in pit road to work with. That tire wear, with all these big dashing moves high, low, through the corners, there's slight tire wear that could be hurting these drivers, as well as bad bumps that's sending these drivers wherever they don't want to go.
And the bad bumps from people pushing aggressively. You want the max grip, right here we're going to ride on board. You're going to see some of these big runs coming, because up front, those leaders, they kind of got a little bit away. There was 2 cars, Aaron Smith, he got out there, and now the pack kind of caught them so fast. And you see right here, Aaron Smith stuck in the middle. Look at this run these drivers are getting. Where do you go? That's the problem.
He thought about it, but gives a bump to Gavin Rogers, trying to keep the assistance and speed and momentum to the outside groove. Not able to fully take off just yet. Christopher Norris will lead the 3rd lane on the outside. Middle groove looking for a little bit of help, but Brian Noel, Drew Jua, they are on top of one another, and they are forcing this outside lane to take off and go. Norris is clear. Will he drop down low? No, it'll be Gavin Rogers who gets below the 38 machine, and Rogers takes the top point as we're coming up to 2 laps to go before the stage is over, unless we find ourselves with a caution with a wreck behind, and somehow we still stay green as it's Christopher Norris. Gavin Rogers going to be your top 2 currently.
And you see those 2 orange cars on the outside, orange and blue up front, 38, 07 behind him. They are pushing everything they can here, coming on lap 19, trying to get those any points valuable up there at the 38.
Oh no! Bad bump! Gavin Rogers, Norris, the whole top lane involved in this one.
Wow, Gavin Rogers right there, wrong place, wrong time. That's going to be really crucial to his points. Chris Norris is going to come inside the inside wall, really finish off that car pretty bad right there. Other drivers involved, we'll get the replay here shortly, but 75, 38, definitely heavy impact on both of those cars.
Chris Stitz also second car, also Drew Jua involved with this with heavy damage. And it's 3 drivers trying their best, but it's going to be on the outside. Brian Noel, bad bump as you try to get to the inside and give a clean, straight bump. It wasn't straight, hooks the 38 to the inside, and away they go.
Yeah, away they go. You see right there, Chris Stitz with the damage. Can he get another one? It looks like maybe that bump kind of got the 38 going down the track, but at the same time, at the 75, maybe got a little bump coming up the track as well. You see here in slow motion, 75 is just a little bit high, really not much at all.
No, there was nothing he could have done. Norris was coming down on him, and you see that 38 just completely destroyed. Gavin Rogers, though, might have been graced by the iRacing gods. I think the 75 might have gotten minimal damage A little bit of front end, but not as much as maybe he should have. And it's actually going to be Chris Stitz and Christopher Norris that get the worst of this. And Drew Jua, he also was involved, but 77, no required damage for himself. I think that two of the four somehow gave away.
Maybe iRacing gifted. Sometimes they gift, and sometimes they take away. But maybe the 75 not going to be as bad as we initially thought. That could be a blessing for his championship hopes. But Chris Norris, you see the bumper missing, definitely heavy impact there. And that's going to do it for the stage. So we'll check on all that, but not ideal for some of these drivers right now. They're going to all come in, though, I would imagine, get some tires utilized right now, taking the slow pit stop here to get the 4 tires. So later on, you could choose 2 or 0 if you'd rather.
As drivers with the required damage, going to be Christopher Norris and Chris Stitz, but your stage winner is the 11 John Forbes. With all the chaos that surrounded around, the 11 was in the best positioning at the time of the yellow. You'll be graced with the stage win. All drivers going to be trying to race out of pit road as quickly as they can, expecting a lot of 4 tires and fuel, but some drivers at this point, they could try to risk it, maybe take just fuel only if you feel comfortable. Some might take 2 tires. The majority of the field, 4 tires and fuel. One, though, just taking fuel, and that's going to be Brian Noel in the 07.
We will definitely keep a tab on how that car performs. He right now is feeling like he doesn't care about the tires. He cares about having the speed and being up front. So we will see how that works, but we'll be talking about it. The way that they'll be filling these cars up with fuel. If you're skipping tires or just taking 2 tires, maybe that allows you to have a faster pit stop later on in this race under green, which is going to be really important.
As the field is getting ready for this run, it certainly has been an interesting one with the aggression of how can you find yourself cooling off with how that really quick 20 laps went. We had the 2 cautions that built out to end out our stage, and now it's really about how do you settle in the rest of this race. As talking about settling in, well, here's how the weather's been settling so far. After 20 laps, it's going to be seen the 86 degrees out there for the air temp. Track temp at 108 degrees. Wind is staying pretty stable at 5. Humidity, thank goodness, it's below 90 as we're only at 44 in the last 3 streams. It feels like it's been a lot of fog, and it's been kind of hard to see at moments, but luckily we have great visibility. It's just partly cloudy, Justin, and this is the type of weather that you love to see at Talladega.
Oh, definitely. These drivers are probably loving it right now. The track, while it's 108 degrees, the air temp 86, but it's not too hot. At least that means that they can push more. With the track being a little bit cooler, they don't have to worry too much about overheating the engines as much as on a really hotter days. You see right now, some guys utilizing that the strategy of going in the top off on fuel, Sam. So these drivers doing it, they must be seeing something in their calculations where maybe they're saying, if I can get that extra lap or 2 now, I'll be able to maybe take less fuel later, or maybe potentially even have 1 less pit stop if they project this race to go green from here on out. But who knows about that based off of how we've been seeing this race going on so far.
It has been a wild one, as a couple of drivers entering pit road to top off, get maybe a little bit of extra fuel or get extra damage repairs for themselves. One of those that enters pit road going to be John Forbes in the 11 machine. Thought we were going to be able to have a chance to talk to him as he's leaving pit road. Now we'll see if we can queue up the 11 for being our stage winner. Certainly an incredible run overall to start tonight. We'll try to see if we can queue up the 11 machine before he gets ready for racing action, as we try to queue in our stage winner, John Forbes in the 11. John, it's Sam and Justin up at the booth. You got us?
Yeah, got you guys.
I know you're about to get ready to go back to racing, but man, how does that feel? First 20 laps, 2 cautions in the books, and it just seems like it is hectic out there on track.
Yeah, I'm at that point now where I got that stage win, led a couple laps. I'm gonna let this thing ride out for a little bit. That was kind of my goal. I wanted to definitely get some stage points. Those 10 points are gonna go a long way, so really excited about that. And now I just get to kind of sit back, relax. I had a little bit of damage from some contact before that wreck happened. Luckily I didn't get involved in that last one, but yeah, I had like 30 seconds to fix. So we got that pit road. Now we're on the back, and that's the plan to still it out and get a time to arch my way back towards the front.
We lose.
Sorry about that. We're having some technical errors. Our Discord channel kind of just went berserk for a moment as everyone was having very low ping. So luckily we are back. That was a very bizarre moment. John Forbes is back with his team. We got to hear there it was chaotic, and it's even chaotic here on this restart. Everyone jumbling up, an accordion effect further on back, but up front it's Brian Noel, Douglas Newbigging getting back to green flag action here tonight. Still in pit roads, Christopher Norris and Chris Stitz. Carl Pooler does have a black flag that he's hoping to get cleared, but up front it's the Lucky Duck teammates of Brian Noel, Douglas Newbigging, and Justin from the stage now to the end of the race. What a change it's going to be from a 20-lap shootout of who's going to be inside of the top 10 for those bonus points to now, can we make it to the end of this race, and who's going to be the winner here for the first round of the playoffs for the first race.
And you have to now wonder, are these drivers going to settle in and be a little bit more calm? We have a couple less cars out there just due to the accidents, but now there's no stage points, there's nothing going on anymore until the end of this race. Now you got to be there. But Sam, I want to talk about the restart right there. You mentioned how kind of got a little jumbled up there. Some drivers had to check up, pull out a line and whatnot, but as you see right here, big block from Brian Noel. But look in the back of that pack. Some drivers might not be with this big group, and maybe only one or two cars, and are spread out with some distance around us. There's going to be contact right there, big time. 077 Douglas Newbig, and they save it though, but they were really leaning on each other.
But we're leaning for sure, and mainly it was because a lot of bad bumps that were given out to kind of push drivers further up. Some went down, and luckily we keep it straight. But yeah, the big gaps and differences of drivers, because of the two wrecks that we've had, a couple of drivers have built up aero damage that's honestly, they have to stay in line in the draft. They can't go for big moves because they just don't have the power to do so.
Yeah, it looks like most of the group is all together. I was a little worried that maybe on that jumbled restart we were going to lose a couple cars. I think we lost maybe two further on back that had damage like you mentioned, but I just saw Cedric Hunter pull out a line, and I was hoping that all those guys were able to stay together so that they didn't get burned by that restart. Luckily, I think we're going to be in good shape, though. These drivers, back to 3 wide, they're really not behaving like we were expecting. We thought they were going to be a little bit calmer, but they're still putting on a show.
They certainly are, and it's going to be your top 13 drivers willing to still fight 3 wide with one another. Everyone else be willing to give space. Some are just staying in the inside groove, or they know the momentum is going to be keeping them all together as one. And some still bouncing to that second lane to kind of get a better view of if there's a wreck, how to react. And up front, this pack to be right on board with on Ollie Fonseca and Danny Cochran on the 2. Just in go mode. And for some drivers, especially those that aren't in the playoffs, sometimes just tackling and being in attack mode, it's a comfortability thing for some drivers where they only feel comfortable if they're up front pushing someone, while other drivers feel comfortable laying in the back and waiting for the big one to strike. And we're seeing one of those drivers that I know loves being in attack mode, loves being in one of the control vehicles. Danny Cochran in the 2, one of those main drivers that wants to be up front at all times.
Oh, I agree with that statement. I'll remember my first broadcast race at Daytona. Danny Cochran was up there leading the majority of the laps that night. It seemed like he was really fast, wanted to be the control car, was always up front. And right now you're seeing the same thing. He's going to drop down to the inside line. Anthony Gatto going to be on the outside. Maybe get a big run here with Ken Gamble pushing. Maybe Anthony Gatto go back to the lead. But right here, Danny Cochran going to get back to Brian P. Johnson, trying to get him back to the front.
Trying to get up front. We still have plenty of racing action here tonight as they're going to be battling back and forth, side by side. And for the likes of Danny Cochran and a few others, as Kevin Rogers had just hit a wall and he goes backwards, even though you saw that huge run he had going into the corner, but lost all momentum and has to fall back to the clutches. The drivers just inside of our top 15 with Tyler Dangler as well as Kanata and Ollie Fonseca in the middle. And we'll fall to their different devices right now. It looks like still 3 wide up front. With how wide this track is, it enables drivers to race like this, and it is always interesting on who's willing to be up front, who's willing to back off. But big picture, some of these playoff drivers cannot race this aggressive early on. You have to save your car for later on in this race, but there is always that chance that we could stay green to the end. It's happened before. Justin, I want to bring the group back to season 6 when Cody Reed found himself his debut race, got the pole, but it was Zach Hall that won that race, and they had 0 cautions. It was back when they didn't have any stage yellows. Everyone kind of stayed in their own lines and were able to race it all the way out from the start of the race to the end without bringing out a caution.
And that's the risk that you have to deal with when you're at Talladega, Daytona, and land tracks like that. You don't know. You expect a caution to happen, but sometimes they don't. Right now, it seems like we kind of settled in a little bit where you're not seeing as aggressive moves as we saw in the first 20 laps of those drivers wanting to stage points. But right now, I can tell you that if you do get damaged, you got a good chance of maybe losing a draft like some of these guys, but then you see a driver like the 75, Gavin Rogers, we saw him take a pretty big impact. It looks like the front of the nose is kind of pushed in a little bit, but he's able to stay no problem in that draft. So there is a chance that if you get damaged, your night is not ruined, but if you just got to keep the bumpers on, I think that's the big thing. You can't lose that front bumper.
At this point, 2x2, and this is the type of racing we're expecting to see for a while until we make a green flag pit stop, unless a mistake happens. So this is going to be our perfect time to take a little bit of a rest on our end and take our first commercial break of the evening. I want to say again, thank you so much to all those that have been commenting in the chat, that have been interacting, those that are watching with us here tonight. You are watching the WSSR Cup Series first race of the round of 16 of playoff racing action for season 9. You won't miss a thing if we go side by side. We'll be back right after this. 5 wide behind the pit.
Oh my, the 5 wide here, this ain't gonna work. They make it last, bumping and banging to the end. They're beating banging for the lead. Sora still with the shot here, coming off a 4. That's it.
It's bottom line, here it comes. Oh no, Carter gets wrecked. It's gonna be that Nick Crawford. The 74 gets through somehow, and they just completely demolish one another. Trinity driving down low, drifting up, trying to be the stealer. Here he comes, Cedric Hunter. He does it. He steals it.
But he somehow drove it into the corner to wreck him.
Oh, they wrecked! They wrecked each other! The top two bounced into one another, just too much of side drifting off of, and they gotta be careful. Oh no, the 4 demolishes into 28. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And Vincent Sora, as well as Ryan P. Johnson from Nightmare Fuel, have found themselves being the lead drivers currently, but as well, still seeing a mixture of 3 wide action as that's starting to break up this lead pack a little bit on who's going to be the lead drivers. Gives opportunities for those that want to move to the outside, maybe the bottom grooves, but so far, we saw 2 cautions. It was early on and trouble striking to end our middle of the stage 1 and the end of the stage that set us to where we are now, where it's a lot more of settle in, get prepared. This will be a long race from here on out as we're closing in on 65 laps to go. We actually are at 65 laps to go, but I want to say thank you to all those that are watching with us and have been interacting in the chat throughout the night as we find ourselves coming to the start of the playoffs. Crazy to think that we're already at race 1 of the playoffs currently, and we are watching Vincent Sora, your regular season champion, leading the race so far. But you're watching on coverage on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me up booth is Justin Malarkey, and running production for every Freaky Fast broadcast is Robert Weir Jr. And Justin, I got to take a little bit of a break there and see these drivers kind of just pedal around this course, settling in. Not as much crazy movement as we saw in those first 20 laps, but it does seem like you're trying to find your friends and allies at this moment.
Well, what these drivers know, Sam, is when it gets time towards the end of this race, they know they can make those crazy moves. Right now, like you said, settling in, maybe just riding right now, figuring out the fuel, how many laps they can go on this tank, and then can they make it on one more tank and stop. I think right now these drivers just kind of calculating, what can I do? What's the calm before the storm mindset right now?
And with it being a super speedway race, again, kind of gives an open door to anyone having a chance to win a type of a race. I mean, Mike Tellier, who's on the outside getting help from Cody Reed, winner of our Daytona Oval race in the middle of the regular season, and that was a shocking of a win. Thought maybe going to see Alliance teammates as pushing all the way down. Tellier is blocking every lane possible and almost saw Cody Reed get spun off the nose of the 25 and now bouncing the 3rd lane. Needing a little bit of assistance. Going to be Ben Caney, but what a bump and a save. Joshua Kanata is always in a scary spot, but somehow saves it. Oh no, trouble. Drivers bouncing in low. Igadio drops down into GT Rosari and another caution is thrown.
Yeah, see the 07, I see a bumper flying off in the infield. 07 looked like he maybe got some contact as well. So, wow, just that happened right there coming out of turn 3 and 4. Just some bouncing around and no one could save it. I mean, I think that all started when they were running 2x2 and then they got to that 3 wide, kind of checked up the lines, and then before you know it, everyone was kind of all over each other.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of drivers were trying to react to get by Mike Tellier because of how slow the momentum was, and it just kind of accordion effect its way back. And the field, a couple of drivers were bouncing back and forth. John Forrest turned into a pinball, who then got a Gadio and then ricocheted down into GT Rizari. And that kind of looked like a little bit of a netcode just reaction, the way the car just snapped in front of others. But big wreck as and take a different look at this from a different view. And again, watch out for the 11 of John Forbes as well as Ken Campbell. They go 4 wide. And it's John Forbes. I think he might have gotten into the 28 of Tom Sinchek, who pushes up Campbell, who goes into Gadio, and then it's shipped sailed. There they go to the inside and collecting the multiple drivers.
Yeah, and you see right there, the 29. He got multiple incidents right there, but the most important thing right there that he's missing is that front bumper, and that's going to really hurt him. And right there, he almost got hit again, but luckily was not able to get hit anymore. But right, you're going to see on this replay, here's just give us a good idea. You see these drivers bouncing around. This is the problem when they get 3 wide up there, they're coming out of corner, and then they start making contact. And we see it a lot of times. You come out of this corner, the track flattens out, and the cars lose that ability to have that grip. And boom, look at all this. There's the bumper we were talking about. And Brunster Stafford, he does a really good job missing these cars.
Able to avoid, get out of the way, and with that, that'll be the end of that situation for these drivers, and a caution that looms with coming up to 60 laps to go here tonight. With some of the wrecks that happened there, frustration kind of built up, and not happy with the incident was Anthony Gaudio, that kind of was an innocent victim that kind of turned into the major pinball that was shipped around, and he's not happy with the way that incident went down. And with all of the wrecks that went and happened, it's going to be the 71 of Edward Shore Jr. He's going to find himself with required damage. Be potentially calling it a night, because I believe his damage is a blown engine. Once he got into pit road, tried to work on it, and engine was not looking the finest for himself, as he's lost the front clip. And plenty of other drivers getting ready for this restart. Up front, going to be Mike Tellier, Vincent Sora, everyone either taking 2 tires, taking just fuel only. Handful of drivers throughout the field taking 4 tires and fuel. But Justin, 60 laps to go, going to be less than 60 when we go green. It still feels like this race is too long at this point to be racing this aggressive, but drivers feeling like they need to get antsy, even though we're not even close to pit stops happening yet.
I believe that's why the 29 of Anthony Gaudio might be so upset. He felt like maybe they were finally starting to log laps and try and get towards the end of this race, and then all of a sudden, like you said, kind of an innocent victim gets taken out. But I think he's also most frustrated is that he had a fast car tonight. You saw him at times get up there, lead laps, make moves, push people to the lead, and also be the leader. And that's nothing more frustrating when you think, hey, maybe tonight's my night to get out there and win this race. And then you kind of get innocent victim caught up in the accident. And the other problem is he's got a lot of damage. Probably not going to be able to get out there and stay with the pack. As you see guys going right now to top off. Drivers that we're expecting most likely want to stay in the back, get that extra 2 laps of fuel, maybe take a set of tires as well. And then later on, maybe they'll go no tires or fuel, only 2 tires. You don't know. Strategy will be fun at the end of this race for sure.
It certainly will be, as Mike Tellier, who was leading it, goes into pit road. He just drove through pit road that first time around. I think he just wanted to make sure he could go another extra lap, top off on fuel, and get fresh rubber, as he'll be trying to find his way with some friends and allies further on in the back. But that leaves us up front with 3 out of the top 4 drivers being from Nightmare Fuel Motorsports, and that team currently leading the team points heading into tonight. And Vincent Sora, Brian P. Johnson, and Tom Sinchek going to be inside of your top 4. It's shocking. It's so hard not to talk about this. I know I'm terrified speaking about it. We talk about this, I feel like, every race this season, the past couple of seasons. The commentator's curse. You praise a driver who usually gets caught up in a mess. I don't want to do it, but I want to say cheers to the driver in 3rd place in the 98. That's as far as I'm going to go on cheering on Ben.
And I will second that statement. Won't go any further. Do not want to risk the commentator curse, but hopefully we will get a chance to talk to him later.
And we'll just go on with, hey, Vincent Sora's running well. He's up 19 positions, and also is Brian Johnson up 24 spots from where he started, and Tom Sinchek in 23rd, hoping for the best. Another couple of drivers, you know, being inside of the playoffs. Brian McCann talked about how Trenton Jump was part of the list of drivers that potentially could be on the cut line heading into this round. Brian McCann has been very much under the radar. A lot of drivers weren't sure what the 8 machine was going to bring. This race tonight really hit the stage for him to move on to the next round, as next race is going to be at Darlington for the last race of the round of 16. See who will move on to the round of 11, excuse me. Going to be a fun overall evening next week. Don't want to miss it. But for tonight, we get prepared, as it is going to be 58 laps to go as we are back to green flag action. It's the teammates in line. Vincent Sora, Brian P. Johnson, as well as Tom Sinjak to the inside row.
Beginning of lap 42, Brian P. Johnson going to lead them into turn 1. As I say that, there's already going to be pressure. Inside line, outside line, looking to get racy. Inside line dropping pretty fast, though. That outside line's got the momentum up there with Brian P. Johnson, Tom Senchek. They're looking to check out in the Brian McCann machine like you mentioned. What's he going to be bringing tonight? Is he going to sneak away and get this win tonight?
I mean, he could be one of the factors. Ollie Fonseca, John Force from the ISRC Truck Series. They both have had some strong moments. John Forbes, who's looking for a chance. Joining with them, going to be on the outside, is the 16 of Joshua Kanata. But up front, still Johnson, Tom Sinchek. But Sora's the one that's going to be dropping back to 10th place, trying to find his way to get back moving forward. We're starting to see the shuffle of drivers that were lingering in the back, having a chance to push forward. Really, our whole entire top 15 really completely shook it up. There's only about 5 drivers that were up in the top 5 when I look back to the end of the stage. They're still in the top 5 as lap car Christopher Norris going to go high as the rest of the field stay low.
And the lap car will definitely want to stay high because this pack is coming fast. Lap car not going to have the speed, and even with the damage, going to be even slower. Stay way up high. Luckily, right now, these drivers are staying 2x2, not really risking to get 3 wide yet. Maybe see one car out there 3 wide in the back, but he'll have plenty of time to be able to check up and get to the inside of the Chris Norris machine that's wounded. But up front, Brian P. Johnson still leading this race. Tom Senchak second, Brian McCann third, Ben Keeney fourth, Vincent Sora fifth, and that's about it. As I say that, they're going to start shuffling again. Vincent Sora going to get up to 4th position now. Utilize some draft there. Look at the 9 machine really pushing hard on the 80, on the 98 of Ben Keeney. The 9 pushing, trying to get that momentum. Ollie Fonseca makes a move right to the inside. I mean, he was barely cleared right there. We're still seeing aggressive moves.
I think right there you saw Shane was trying to work with the 98. A little bit of a door slap between themselves. That's going to kill all momentum, but just not trusting how the drivers were going to be the lead machine. And right there you saw Ben was not a trusted driver to be the lead machine, and the field dumps him. And it's one of those things where we're going to see that throughout the night of, you know, you had your chance to kind of prove yourself throughout the season at Atlanta, at Daytona earlier on, and now even early in this race. You've made reputations at super speedways, and Justin, some drivers you just don't trust being a lead driver, sometimes even being a pusher.
Yeah, sometimes it's really, when you're pushing, you really want to have that guy in front of you be able to hold the wheel a certain way. A lot of drivers like to try and work together. They practice that. They want to make sure that this driver runs this line through the corners, and then maybe he can get on the side of the bumper a little bit, where they feel the most important way to push is maybe on that right side in these cars versus being on the left side. But some drivers not lining up the bumpers the right way, and it kind of gets people looking to get around you. But that does not mean anything because you still got to go about 55 more laps. So these drivers are going to be out there learning and testing each other multiple times, and eventually everyone else will get their pairs of who they want to be around and go from there.
Starting to see the teamwork, the team aspect. So drivers have alliance with one another in line on the 3rd groove. Seeing Tom Bourne, he's been working on that damage all race long, and the 06 is still in a fighting position, trying to help out his teammate from Sky Motorsports with Bronson Stafford moving high, going to be joining in. It is now a full Sky Motorsports top row as Take That Back, Storm Motorsports wants to join the mix, as now it's going to be seeing the teammates of Ken Campbell, also Christopher Wade. And in past series, Christopher Wade, Ken Campbell, they were the dynamic duo for the longest time. And I'm looking back to the Stars and Stripes era of when we were covering during Thursday nights. And these two, when you saw Christopher Wade in the 53, the 15 of Ken Campbell in line, they were going to be the controlled cars. They were the threats to win every super speedway race we went to, and they're finally in line on that outside groove, trying to crack inside of the top 10.
They're making those moves, and I mean, I really thought these drivers were going to calm down, but they're not doing it. They're back to the 3 wide. Everywhere on this track, there's really nowhere to be safe. I mean, even if you're kind of in the back of this pack right now, if an accident happens, can you even get slowed down? You have time to see what's happening before drivers start checking up and you slam into them and then you're spinning out. There's really no safe place on this track right now. look at this screen. Drivers everywhere, and they're kind of spread out, Sam, so they get that big run on each other. When they have that big gap between them, they get that big momentum, and then they don't know where to go with the car, and they kind of just slam into each other, and that's kind of where we've seen some of these problems happen.
And we also saw there, going into turn number 1, the amount of side drafting everyone in every line is trying to do to the driver to the left or to the right. They're trying to slow down either lane possible at this moment, as you see a little bit of darting from the 9 further on back, trying to get in line with Aaron Smith II in the yellow machine. But up front, they are side drafting aggressively, and with the netcode wrecks we've seen, with the getting into one another at moments of coming down maybe too far and driver moving up, there are small moments that you just hold your breath and hope that everyone stays in line and is able to make it through, which see now another duo of teammates. It's Lucky Ducks, Drew Jua, Douglas Newbigging up front and trying to lead the way and hoping for some other Lucky Duck drivers to join the mix if possible. But another driver of note, GT Rosari, caught up in one of our most recent cautions, is second on the outside, pushing Joshua Kanata to the point.
It's 97 behind him. Another driver who was, at one point, we saw him going through turns 1 and 2 a little sideways. He's right behind GT. And behind that, Brian Noel, who we saw him in the inside of the infield before, spinning around. So, like we talked about, these cars can take the damage. I mean, Anthony Gaudio, we thought his night was over. He's up there. He's inside the top 7. I'm impressed. I thought his night was over.
Oh, no! We're praising, and just like that, they go around. Gaudio getting into Noel and others. Shipped around, and caution is back out as we cross into the halfway of tonight's race.
Halfway, lap 50, Brian Noel, heavy impact. I think that might have been his 3rd wreck tonight, but I think that one may have really done him in. The other 2, he wasn't really part of the wreck, kind of just was around there, but that was heavy impact right there off the 7 of Douglas Newbig. Anthony Gaudio, we just talked about him as well. So unfortunate. That one probably is going to do both of those drivers in, I would imagine.
Oh,
Ryan
Gaudio.
Kelly right at the end. Ryan
He
Kelly.
just let that thing roll down.
Yeah, Ryan Kelly not happy. We have to watch right here. I'm bored with that. I mean, he probably thought he was through this accident.
This is one of the more frustrating things to watch is drivers are trying to slow down and you just let your car roll right into the field. It's one of the pet peeves of watching broadcasts is just seeing. I understand from a driver's perspective, you're frustrated. Maybe you throw your hands off the steering wheel, you're off the pedals, but you're still a moving vehicle on track. If you do not disconnect immediately, you can ruin other people's races. And Anthony Gaudio goes from bad bump to causing the wreck to then just, let's add a couple more as he lets the 29 drop down, because if he held the brake, he would have stopped right there, but instead comes down and lets Kelly get involved. And for Kelly, that is a frustrating incident that was just unnecessary.
And that goes right back to what we were both discussing about 5 minutes ago. Even being in the back, do you feel safe? Do you have time to slow down and avoid the incident? Right now, Ryan Kelly, his team, they're hoping that they're able to get this car fixed for him. Hopefully it's not too bad, but like you said, Sam, just really unfortunate. It's one of those things, a car rolling backwards right there. You're just hoping that the drivers have the brakes held, and sometimes a little difference between the simulator and I guess real life, you just kind of maybe forget to do something that you're not used to doing.
And drivers with required damage: John Forbes, Ryan Noel, Anthony Gaudio, Ryan Kelly, and Carl Pooler. I went back to see how Carl Pooler and John Forbes got required damage because they weren't a part of the initial incident. Turns out John Forbes went into a complete lockdown, and Carl Pooler ARCA brakes his way right into the 11. That is frustrating. Things that are talked about all throughout the season not getting fixed here later on. And now the field, with this caution, they now know they're into the second half, and that calm down period kind of might have phased away. We're now heading into the chaos half of this race.
We're in that back half of the race, but as we keep saying, you got to be there at the end of these races. You got to be there at the end to have a chance. And right now, the drivers that are still out there, they have a chance. And the drivers with heavy contact and heavy damage or required, they're going to be laps down. They're not going to have a chance. Right now, 49 laps to go. The goal is you got to get to the end of this race. We talk about it every week, but drivers who get to the end more than likely, they're going to get good points.
As drivers are getting a reset, Carl Pooler, who found himself ending his own night here this evening, has called it an evening and has left the serve. We're going to be our first official DNF of the evening. As the field is into our second half of the race. Up front, going to be the teammates from Storm Motorsports. It's Christopher Wade, Ken Campbell. Third, going to be Drew Jua from Lucky Ducks. Then it's Joshua Kanata, Mike Tellier. The rest of the top 10 going to be Brian B. Johnson, GT Rosari, Danny Cochran, Tom Sinchek, and Brian McCann in the 8 machine. Some of the drivers that were playoff contenders that we said watch out for, that they needed to have some good runs, still in the middle of the field with Trenton Jump as well as in 10th place and but surprising, shocking drivers involved with that wreck. Again, John Force, Ryan Kelly, both with heavy damage, able to get the damage repaired, and we've seen drivers get major damage repair and still be in a fighting position. Their nights are not completely over, but we'll see what the engines are at full song, and if the aero damage is too bad once we go green. But they're stacking up, going to be giving you the 1 to go indicator, as Anthony Gaudio will be our second driver, calling it an evening. And the rest of the field, take a deep breath, get ready for this restart. And Justin, it's been a wild season so far, but I think that wreck might have been one of the more shocking incidences to see after the initial bad bump that it went wrong.
Yeah, the aftermath, drivers getting caught up after the wreck is over. I mean, it was crazy to see the impact on how much Brian Kelly potentially even got on damage. Don't know the exact amount of time, but even going that slow, still getting the heavy damage impact on the front end. Can't be good for the car, but like you said, hopefully they got it fixed and he's able to continue. There's a lot of drivers out there with damage, so the field will be dealing with damage on this restart. The most important thing, not losing the draft.
Do not lose the draft, as do want to give a quick shout out for the driver in 11th position, Cody Reed. It's his birthday today. Happy birthday to that 25, as we get ourselves prepared to get back to green flag racing with Storm Motorsports. Going to be your top 2 for this restart. Again, we started tonight. 100 laps was the distance. We had the stage at the end of lap 20. Didn't get to lap 20. We had to end it early with a second caution of the day. Cautions have been mounting up, feeling like some past races that we've had here at Talladega Season 4. We had 6 cautions total, and it was Steven Stimbian who led the most laps that won that race. Might come down to someone who could lead the most laps. Might get into victory lane, but it's been tough to stay up front and be the control vehicle. We'll see, though, if Storm Motorsports can continue the trend of leading, or will they fall backwards? Time to find out as we're green once again. Lap 53 begins as the car 53 takes the lead.
53, Christopher Wade, like you said, he likes to be the control car. Well, he's definitely going to be the control car on this restart, but he'll have to deal with the 15, Ken Campbell on the outside. Ken Campbell trying to take the lead. Is that outside line going to build a momentum coming down this back straightaway? We're going to find out. Ken Campbell, he's got help from behind. They are pushing him down this straightaway. You're going to see them come in the picture. And look at that. Ken Campbell to the lead by about 3 car lengths over that inside line.
Able to find the openings and continuing to push forward. And the more and more of the 15 stays in the outside groove, someone's going to ditch him. Kanata might not do it, but Johnson might see the 2 of Danny Cochran try to lead the inside row. Tom Sinchek also could be a factor of who's going to ditch the 15 here, as actually looks like they might all just stay in line. The outside row is looking strong as they continue to push forward.
Seems like maybe the outside line, these drivers are starting to figure out sometimes at these tracks. I know in the previous generation of the car, it seemed like that outside line, if you could get people to stay committed, they really had a lot of speed built up on that outside line. But as you said, Sam, who will pull out, who will drop to the inside? Right now, it seems like they kind of want to use that middle lane like they're running on that outside.
The lane has been a good place to roll, as you see 3 wide action here in the middle of the group. Ken Campbell still leads up front, but stuck 3 wide. Ali Fonseca, Drew Jua, which Drew giving a little bit of information in our chat. Said he had multiple minutes of damage that he was working on. Didn't feel like he was going to be a front runner, but obviously with the damage we've been seeing the field collectively building up, if you've got an engine that's pretty much at full strength, you might still have a chance to fight up front. The drafting aero package doesn't seem like it's being as affected as the engine power is being more important.
The engine power looks important at these tracks. Aero equally is important, but like you said, maybe just the way these updates have been, seems like drivers, if they got damaged, are able to stay with the group more than they have been in the past. But these cars, how much damage can they continue to take? Because they've been bouncing off one another all night tonight. Drew Jua, though, like you said, he had a couple minutes of damage. But he's up there still running. Look at, he's even on the inside line, so he's not holding up the inside line. He was just drove down there and tried to make moves. We'll have to follow that car and see if he can drive back to the front. Right now, running back in about 10th, 12th position. But these drivers up front, they're choosing to use that middle lane. Right now, no one's really wanting to drop down low and do anything different. As I say that, though, Brian B. Johnson's going to get to the outside, and this is going to make Ken Campbell make a decision. Who's he going to go with?
Who does he trust? And to the inside, Ken Campbell looking to work with Joshua Kanata. Also, that you see the yellow machine for a quick moment will deke out of the way. But now it's just going to be about 4 to 5 drivers in the middle groove, and all advantage goes to the outside groove with a little bit of movement and drivers trying to make some bold moves. The 7 of Douglas Newbegin not wanting to work with Dakota Moniz or any others. Seems like seeing some drivers, they've got people they are willing to work with. Others, they just are at all costs trying to avoid, as we are 3 wide from 5th on back. Drivers trying to find themselves in a better position. And John Forbes, who was caught up in that wreck and required damage, who's in the mixture near Christopher Wade, who was leading at this restart. But up front, it is going to be your drivers from Nightmare Fuel. It's Brian P. Johnson, Danny Cochran, Tom Sinchek, Vincent Sora. It is all 4 Nightmare Fuel drivers. 1, 2, 3, 4 currently.
John Forbes, that number 11 car, we talked to him after winning the stage, and what did he say? He said he wanted to ride out back because he got his stage points. 10 bonus points were going to carry over. He felt really confident about just riding in the back, but even riding in the back, he still had some incidents over previous cautions. Shows, again, showing proof that really nowhere safe right now on this track with this driving style of these drivers really pushing and beating and banging on one another. And they're going to sail off into turn 1, and they're going to continue to race 2 by 2 all over this track, even 3 wide.
As you can see the field through the fence, just all staying 3 wide, except for our top 3 that hold the middle groove. That's where they're feeling most confident and comfortable at this moment to go full bore and stay up front. Stalling out in that 4th row has been Joshua Kanata on the inside, outside being Ali Fonseca. Just looking for a little bit of help, if possible, is the big thing for the drivers on the inside and outside row, but looking like the middle groove dissipates, it falls apart, and now Johnson ducking to the inside, trying to work with Joshua Kanata to keep this front group in front and pack, but Kanata does not want to work with him. The 16 bounces to the middle, and Kanata gonna lead that lap for the 16 machine.
You can see this camera angle really building the suspense as they get far away. You see how all over the track the whole field is, and then they come close to you and they just see how quick they're all over this track, really just doing an amazing job, putting on a great show. But I tell you, Sam, when they get two by two, you're nervous, but when they get 3 wide, you're just waiting for it. Based off of what we saw in the first 20 laps, how aggressive the runs were in the blocking, the 3 wide action really puts a toll on these drivers out there. I mean, they've been doing this now for 60 laps. The nerves are getting up there. The muscles are starting to get fatigued too. So you're going to be dealing with that later on in this race. As you see coming out of his corners, they're going to stay 3 wide. That first outside line, Ali Fonseca, he's going to try and build that momentum and take these cars on the outside line to the promised land of first place.
Trying to make these moves work as 60 laps are now in the books. It's going to be our final 41 to race out here tonight to finish out our 100 laps here at Talladega. And we've seen a lot of highs, a lot of lows, but ultimately shuffling has been the big word of use because everyone's shuffling back and forth. Up front, our top 5 are drivers that have moved forward in some way over 15 positions or more from where they started this race is our top 5. The one driver that qualified instead of our top 10 still there is going to be Douglas Newbigin, who's trying to stay in one of these front-running positions, as well as Drew Jua in 2nd place, which Drew, we talked about in the chat, wasn't feeling good. He's now leading this race, being pushed by his teammate.
16 right behind there. The 3 of them all working together. Danny Cochran, as you see, Ali Fonseca also going by. But look at that third lane up top. They're trying to still make the moves. Aaron Smith, the second up there. And as you say that, Danny Cochran going to pull down to the inside underneath the 16. He's going to make it 3 wide coming out of the corner with the momentum, trying to get the push from the inside row to the front. Late block, 16 went up late. Luckily, there was no contact. Christopher Wade gave him a break right there. Joshua Kanata with that late block right there. Almost thought Danny Cochran was going to get involved in that incident right there. Cody Reed, I thought, was going to come down in front of him, but both drivers were able to work it out. Now Danny Cochran going to take that momentum to the outside. Ollie Fonseca going to follow him. Douglas Newbegin trying to push everything he can to keep the positions here for him and Drew Jua, but they're not going to do it. Danny Cochran might have led that lap.
Yeah, as they continue to fight back and forth, it's the Larry Art Production drivers and Danny Cochran and Ollie Fonseca. They're on different teams heading into tonight and with this series, even on Monday night, but have the same sponsor, great sponsor of Larry Art Productions, usually in chat for both Wednesdays and Monday nights. And Larry, we're always happy to have you out there in chat, but for these two drivers he sponsors, and always is hoping for great runs. Well, they are 1-2 currently in the purple machines, and they almost caused calamity. His bounce to the outside is going to be Ollie Fonseca. He has to duck to the outside to ditch the 2 to cool off that front bumper and get some cool air on the grill to cool off the engine. And just like that, you go from one of the strongest pairs moving forward to falling to the clutches of the middle of the pack.
And as we say that, Drew Jewett, Douglas Newbegin, they went right from the bottom all the way up high, really aggressively. I guess they wanted to pick up that outside line. They were nervous about them getting to the outside. And now Douglas Newbegin is going to actually drop to the inside. He's going to try and lead this race, get some cool air on that front nose. The best way to do it, have the car out front. Tom Senchek going to now push Brian P. Johnson. They're coming to push that inside line all of a sudden, showing momentum that we haven't seen in a little bit. Douglas Newbegin to the inside, to the race lead. They're going to fight back on that outside, but they're not hooked up. Not sure if the 77 is going to have enough pressure from behind pushing him to get back to this front.
As Douglas Newbegin gets on the apron leading the pack, that's one of the points that we haven't really brought up a lot on, and that's visibility. Some of these drivers, if you're that lead driver, you run too low, you kind of cut off the visibility for drivers behind you and where you want to go. Is Ollie Fonseca just digging it to the outside groove. He wants to be a lead driver, getting some help from some machines that he knows quite well. With Joshua going to be seeing Kanata as well as Kota Moniz leading the outside row, and also having strength from Lucky Ducks. So the 70 of Aaron Smith II. Outside row looks strong. Middle groove's got some big contenders, but when you look at who you can trust, I'm not surprised to see this. Dropping down low, Aaron Smith II, Drew Jua. They're trying to get Lucky Ducks in line.
Yeah, we were 3 by 3 for about 5 to 6 rows. It seemed like that in that previous corner. Now all of a sudden these drivers, they kind of got spread out really again. Now they're going to rubber band back together and get that big momentum. And that's where we see the contact with the late blocks. People making the moves, deciding where to go. To 16, is he going to come up and block Ken Campbell? Be a late block if he does. Now that's going to allow Danny Cochran to shoot down to the inside lane. And it seems like right now the inside lane is never really having as much momentum as we were expecting it to, as we see on other super speedways. It seems like anyone in that middle lane to outer lane gets the big momentum, but then they all drop down to the inside. I think, Sam, are we eventually going to see someone maybe pair up 5, 6, 7 cars and run that middle lane and not let people get by them?
I mean, it's more so of, again, finding spacing and cooling off your temps. If you're going to go to the front, you have to push the driver in front of you to get the momentum, to make these big pushes and surges. And I think for a lot of drivers, they're also recognizing, hey, with those big pushes, we have to reorganize to allow that driver that's in second, sometimes in third, to get some fresh air, cool off the engine temps, and get ready to make another big surge, maybe in the next potentially 5 to 6 laps and get in the line perfectly. But staying high, unfortunately, Ryan Kelly, just not enough time to get repairs done. The 3 will fall back to the end of this group. We'll try to tag along with the draft, but just the damage too great for Kelly. He'll try his best though again to stay attached, as he will fall we can fall to going 1 lap down. This group continues the race on. Now going to be 2 by 2 as they were trying to let lap traffic of Kelly stay high. But we're also getting to a point, Justin, where pit stops could be going on as pit road going to be called for some drivers. Heavy slowdown moments for Kanata and John Forbes. And no radio call that they were entering pit road. It was a dramatic just 1-2. They're going to pits.
No radio call, but did the 16 get below pit road speed? I mean, it seemed
He
like
did not.
he really made a late.
Black flag. He does have a black flag penalty. Too fast entering. Kanata, 42nd hold. That hurts Forbes and the 16.
It also hurts Ryan Kelly, who now is going to be dealing with other cars that are going to be getting a lap down with the penalty. Speaking of Brian Noel, he's going to be getting lapped really shortly. He's about 43 seconds off the pace. So right now, Ryan Kelly, he's going to have problems even getting back on a lead lap. As you see more drivers pulling off right now, they're going to give themselves plenty of more time to slow down, not get that speeding penalty that we just saw happen in the 16 of Joshua Kanata.
Going to try to get slowed down, and that's going to be the car monster team. It's all coming to a row together. Again, some drivers pairing up and all coming out as a group. COD Monsters having the help from Tyler Dangler, who joined the pack with them, as well as see the likes of John Forbes joining in with the fun. But currently going to be the lead driver. It's Lucky Ducks. Going to be Aaron Smith II, Drew Jua, and a few more drivers over the radio trying to prepare for when they're going to enter pit road. It looks like this time around, watch out for another group that's part of this lead pack to enter pit road.
One of the things we'll definitely be watching for after everyone cycles through is sometimes we see on these tracks, the cars get really spread out after these pit stops. And that's kind of when we have that chance to maybe go caution free when we get these groups of maybe 5 or 6 cars spread out. We get 2 or 3, maybe 4 groups of cars with only 5 or 6 cars in there, Sam. That's where we really sometimes have that risk of going caution free. So right now, if you're not in those front groups, that could be the problem.
And looking at drivers that have pitted so far, about half the field has made their could be their final pit stop of the night if they've timed it perfectly. It's going to be the Ollie Fonseca in the 24, the 5 of Dakota Moniz, Tyler Dangler, Cody Reed going to be the first pack. They're being caught up by the likes of Mike Tellier, Larry Yingling, Zach Hall, John Forbes, and lap car of Chris Stitz. They're going to be trying to become their own pack to build up as much speed to try to potentially run down or even past our lead group that we see on screen. All about how you can carry your momentum to have some of the fastest laps. Our lead group putting down lap times of a 49.3 for the leaders. The second pack that I'm watching currently, they're putting down lap times of a 49.3 as well. So equal in speed, which is not good. If you're that second pack, you need to be running at least 1 to 3 tenths faster than the lead pack, which means you need them to race like this side by side and maybe even go 3 wide to slow down the momentum.
I think the big question will be, when do we see the rest of these cars enter pit road, and what strategy are they thinking right now? What are we thinking on fuel? Drivers pitting right now, 33 laps to go. That first group, they've pitted at 67, so they'll have to go 33 laps if they want to make this be their final pit stop. The drivers that are out there right now, they're coming at 29 laps to go.
And I think for this lead group, it's whatever they feel most comfortable to hit pit road. If they're trying to set their own pace, because you're finally getting some of the fast drivers that are in this group that are trying to find their own momentum to really just go full go. But sounds like over the radio, Lucky Ducks expecting to pit this time around, as well as seeing a little bit of lap cars in front, hoping to tag along with maybe some draft, pull them forward before entering pit road. But watch out for this group. They're all in line. It looks like this is the sign. Pit stops for Lucky Ducks and anyone else that wants to join with them as they exit at turn number 4. Gonna fan out, hope for the best as the drivers slow down, and looks like they're gonna go another lap. So just talking about potentials now over the radio.
The pit stop party will have to wait 1 more lap. But I tell you, the thing I like about it is they've now gone 5 laps extra, which means they're going to have more fuel at the end of this race. Now, it would matter only potentially if we got the green-white checkered. These drivers are probably thinking green-white checkered, go out there, have the extra fuel in case they won't have to pit. Other drivers may have to, but you know what else, Sam? They might be trying to say, hey, if we can stay at another 2 laps, we might get the huge tow off of these cars in front of us and improve our lap time maybe 2 or 3 tenths of a second, as they're catching a pretty decent group up there.
They are in this lead group. That last lap, a 49.1 second lap time. That's 4 tenths slower than the fast laps that are put down here this evening. But this group is just motoring at full song, but they will be broken up. Another pack of drivers entering pit road. That's going to be Nightmare Fuel coming into pit road. That's the back half of the Lucky Ducks crew that's pulling along Gavin Rogers and a few other drivers. There's Trent Jump in the mix here. Also going to be Brian McCann And this, honestly, not a bad group to be, attached to. Lucky Ducks has been a strong super speedway course group. They've just had poor luck at moments. They're hoping that this is maybe when their luck turns around, as that last lap, another 49.1 second lap time for our lead pack. And looking at some of the other drivers that have already pitted, their last lap, a 49.6. They are losing over a half a second to this group we see on screen that is yet to pit.
And the group now, they are definitely getting a tow from those cars in front, so look to see them having maybe even a potentially faster lap, giving themselves even more time. And this is where we talk about after pit stops, we could see this group have a big lead over other drivers. They're going to get a big tow now here going off into turn 1.
As that last lap going to be a 49.266 lap time for Aaron Smith II, as he's starting to get the pole on the last pack that's running out there on track that has already made a pit stop, being Sky Motorsports, as they've got some heavily damaged machines trying their best to stay attached. As starting to see Lucky Ducks, where will they go to get by lap cars, as going to be trying to put down Tom Bourne a lap down, Bronson Stafford, the rest of the Lucky Ducks currently.
I'm surprised. I would be pitting right now. You don't want to have to be passing lap cars. That's going to really slow down the speed now. The advantage that you got from the tow is going to be lost of running side by side, trying to pass these cars on a longer distance around. I'm surprised they have not pitted yet, but they're going to keep pushing the envelope. And now they're going to get 3 or 4 wide. They're really going to have to check up. They're going to lose a lot of time. So those other groups are really, right now, got to be on their toe and try and gain as much time as they can right now as these leaders get into heavy traffic.
Heavy traffic, and I'm not surprised to see Bronson Stafford kind of step up to the outside, trying to slow down this group as much as possible and push forward and stay on the lead lap, because Bronson Stafford and most of Sky Motorsports, they've had issues with Lucky Ducks, and at this moment, 61 trying to be the lead driver, but that last lap almost putting down the fastest lap of the night with how quick they were climbing through that group. 61 continues to be the lead driver. We do have a playoff note. Vincent Sora, unsafe pit exit for the 51, had to pull back into pit road for a 40-second hold. Vincent Sora won, making it now 2 laps down for our regular season champion.
And that will really, really hurt him. I mean, you have a bad race tonight. Now, if you go into Darlington and get caught up in an incident, we could see one of the heavy favorites struggling to make it to the next round. That's why it's so important tonight to get the stage points, but also to get the good finish. A bad error, pit road exit, not what he wants to see.
As you're seeing this group, lap cars and lead lap drivers going back and forth on who's going to have the better positioning, trying to get unlapped is most of Sky Motorsports, but Aaron Smith II, Drew Jewell, Kevin Rogers, they've taken off. Those drivers are setting sail, but it's the drivers that are stuck behind, 6, 7, going to be stuck here. That's going to be Brian McCann, Richard Wolsifer. They were not able to fully stay attached to our front group. They're just going to have to be mired with Sky Motorsports that are losing touch to the lead group of 4.
And you can see right here, if you look at 8th place, 33.5 seconds back in time. And you're going to look at that. Now it goes to 34.3, so you can see it live on screen and how much it's changing as these drivers catch other packs as they're able to go. But 35 seconds now so it is climbing. Do not want to be losing any more time, 35.3. So that's going to be the big item to watch right there, especially once these drivers make their final pit stops.
Yeah, the first group that made their pit stops going to be Mike Tellier in the 97, leading that pack in 9th position. Making a swing of who's going to be that lead car, as they are all in line from 9th all the way back to 17th place. This front group, this is lap cars, chaos waiting to happen as they're 4 wide behind our leaders, and a caution could save Aaron Smith II as well as Drew Jewell and some of these other drivers that are going to have to make a pit stop here in the next 4 to 5 laps. They will have to pull into pit road. It looks like it is push it as far as you can go. Hope that you build a big enough gap that even if you have mistakes, it can be minimalized. But this is one of those moments where you're around so many lap cars. This is not the safest place to be running at the moment.
The other thing is, if the caution does come out, I don't expect the rest of the people who pitted to pit. So these guys would all cycle to the behind those guys. They would lose a lot of track position, I would imagine. I can't see everyone else coming into the pits if they already were out there, but who knows? Maybe they'll be having a different mindset. These drivers, when will they make their pit stop? It's been over 10 laps since we've seen the other groups go out there and make the pit stops. And right now, the 16, he's going to pull to the outside, trying to battle some positions right here.
going to the outside, trying to do a little bit of side drafting to slow down this group, if anything. But at that last lap, it was a 48.9-second lap time for our leaders. Those that have already pitted, a 49.4. So that was some gains being made by Mike Tellier in the second pack that's trying to run down our leaders. But they're all in line now at this current moment. And once again, we still have 7 drivers yet to pit that will have to go into pit road before the night is over. Technically 9 with Christopher Wade that's kind of out of touch back in 17th position. But our top 8 drivers, it is a duel between them. Is our top 7 in the right call, or will Mike Tellier and everyone else behind 8th place finding themselves in a golden opportunity to try to get ahead? It's all going to come down to who can pace better, and right now it is the front 7 that are having the better pace.
And I also think, Sam, with these drivers staying out, if you're thinking they can go another 3 to 4 more laps, it puts them about 16 laps to go. Will they just do enough fuel, maybe 5 to 6 seconds worth? They'll have even a faster pit stop, less time on pit road, and then will they be able to then stay together, the 7 of them, and go out there and let it be settled between those 7 drivers? That might be what they're thinking about.
A lot of different opportunities to try to minimize on time lost. It's going to be out there for our front 7. We have lost another driver. That's Jared Hughes in the 68 from Next Level Motorsports, calling it a night for themselves. But looking at Aaron Smith II, trying to get by the teammate of Brian Noel in the 07, pushing that pack to go high. And the 07, no front clip, no front bumper, and just salvaging an evening. Here is Noel as the rest of the group is front pack, side by side. This is not where you want to be. You have to all be single file to maximize the speed, but they're not all lead lap drivers. That's why they're willing to fight side by side.
Multiple drivers on different agendas, and as we say that, looks like Trent Jump's going to go into pit road, but does he have any really help? Not really seeing too many other drivers pull off with him.
No, the other driver that pulled off was Christopher Wade, who was about to go a lap down and also was in a zone where he needed to go into pit road. And for the front now, make it 6. They're going to have to pit. They're in a spot where they could still, I would assume, at least one more lap. But it could be this lap that they're thinking about pitting, and that's why we're seeing the ANSI build up. Nick Crawford, Cedric Hunter, also Shane Terry, and many others bounce to the outside lane. They don't want to be slowed down by the drivers that are going to have to pit right here.
We're going to find out. It'll be exciting to see, can these drivers come out in front of all the other cars that have already pitted. We're going to see on board, they're going to not pit. I thought they were going to do it, but they're still going to stay out one more lap. See if what happens on the strategy. It'll be really interesting to see what they have up their sleeve. Can't wait to experience, but we're going to have to wait another lap around before we even have a chance to see them hit pit road.
Now it's going to be Snow Desert leading this pack. Now they are going to be on the first couple of drivers on the lead lap currently of Cedric Hunter and Nick Crawford. And for the 70, 77, or 75, do you duck low, stay in line? I think if anything, you have to stay in line at this moment. There's really no advantage of trying to pass, and you're boxed in with Sky Motorsports. I think Shane Terry and Tom Bourne trying to work as one, but over the call, Drew Jua pitting this time. Here they go, scattering to the inside groove.
There they go, they're all peeled off. They're going to make their pit stops. Trent Jump came out about 37 seconds behind his group, about 3.5 to 4 seconds ahead of Mike Teller. So if these drivers all hit their marks, do the same thing as Trent Jump, they should come out ahead of the field, but they're only going to have 6 cars. Will that 6 cars be enough to pull away from everyone else?
Well, it was supposed to be 6. It's only 5. Gavin Rogers did not get queued soon enough, and the 75 stays out with this pack. He's going to be pitting all by his own. The 3-time winner this season. He is on his own whenever he comes into pit road.
Now his strategy might be he's going to have to maybe make an adjustment and definitely not take tires and maybe take the least amount of fuel as he can to try and gain back that time he missed from pitting not with the group, but he's going to choose to stay out another lap. So maybe he's got something figured out where he thinks this group is going to be faster and he'll be able to make back that time. But eventually he's going to have to pit. When he does, he's going to be by himself. Hopefully he's able to blend with other cars.
For Gavin Rogers, he has been in the draft throughout this whole entire green flag run. That's why he's been able to save enough fuel to stretch it out just a little bit further than what some of the other drivers, like Lucky Ducks, that were a part of the group that decided to be the lead driver. They're using more fuel, being the control up front, but this group, it is coming down to who's gonna have the better spacing. And I'm looking at drivers that have already pitted. Lucky Ducks drivers of Aaron Smith the second, Drew Jua, Douglas Newbigging, second, third, fourth. They have over a 5-second gap lead over Brian McCann, who's on his lonesome, and then almost over a 7-second lead over Trent Jump and Mike Tellier that are trying to run down this group of three that are trying to go 1, 2, 3 for Lucky Ducks here at Talladega to start the playoffs.
This group of three, they will be making sure that they push as hard as they can. They will not be racing each other at all until it's going to be the final corner coming out of the lap. But as you say that, this 7 kind of just shot up the track. I don't think he was making a move. I think he just kind of was pushing so hard. Maybe it's hard to see when you push so much like that. There is 2 cars in front of them. So can they catch those 2 cars and become a 5-car team? And will that keep them ahead of the rest of this field? But they're going to be coming fast, I would think, Sam. 3 cars versus what the rest of the field has in store for them.
This is our first numbers of this group of 3, a 49.1 second lap time compared to Mike Tellier and also Larry Yingling that are in the pack that's trying to run down this trio. They ran a 49.2, so the trio is running faster than a full pack, and that's exactly what they want to hear in the radio is go, you guys are faster. The problem is how do you make the swaps if it's needed to make sure the temps are cool enough to continue to push at this speed, which is a group of 3? Or will these 2 drivers that you're passing have the momentum? They're not going to. That's Kelly. That's Benkini. Those are 2 damaged vehicles that cannot stay attached.
You see the 3 right there. He pulls down to try and stay attached, but not even close to being able to have the speed or momentum to stay with him. So those 2 cars are not going to help. The only thing that these 3 drivers are going to hope for is that those 2 lap cars kind of maybe stall out that pack for a half a lap just to give them a little bit of breathing room. But with under 14 laps to go, it's now under 7 seconds of a lead. I would imagine they're going to get there before the 14 laps are up, and we're going to have ourselves a big pack versus just 3 cars to battle it out for this win.
But the most incredible thing in watching this run, 38 lap stint so far for Gavin Rogers, who leads this race. Rogers is just in a moment where you know he's going to have to pit at some point. He's going to have to pit by himself. But in this situation, you run it dry and you hope for a caution to maybe save yourself to stay on the lead lap. Yes, you're part of a group that's running decently quick, but you are not going to be a part of the winning group once you pit. You are in a must caution mode if you're the 75.
Or does the 75 go in and just maybe take 3 seconds of fuel? Will he have a faster stop? Is that what he's thinking? He's only going to need 12 laps of fuel, but he's going to stay out another lap. I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see. I don't know what else he's thinking, Sam. Like you said, I'm kind of on your side. I don't see how he can win it, but maybe he's got a really, oh my goodness, right in front of you.
Shane, watch out as they have a little bit of a scuffle there in front. And to get back in line, that is losing even more ground. So even if you take that extremely tight, splash and go, you're losing too much time. That just a little bit of a scuffle that just happened killed over 2 to 3, even 4 miles per hour, which is building up to over half a second or even more on lost ground. It is not helping Gavin Rogers' case to go for a win here this evening. It's now just hope for a decent finish. If this race stays green with 12 laps to go, make it 11. And I'm looking at some of the other notes of drivers to watch out for. The trio of Lucky Ducks race motorsports right now. It's Aaron Smith II, Drew Jua, Douglas Newbigging. There has been no change in the gap. It stayed at 8 seconds, the difference between Douglas Newbigging and 5th place runner of Ali Fonseca. Now that second pack has been shuffling on who's the lead driver, and I think that's what's been hurting them on pace. But this trio, they've given themselves enough pacing, enough grouping, and this group is just putting down burner after burner to lap time, and they are holding the pace to be finishing 1, 2, 3 if we stay green.
So that is very impressive, because it was about 3 laps ago that we thought maybe it was a 0.6 of a second a lap difference with that second group. But like you said, if they're racing side by side or not cooperating with each other, they're not going to have a chance to settle this race. So those drivers, they need to key up and they need to say, listen, if you want a chance to win this race and get those valuable bonus points or get that win and feel comfortable about advancing to the next round, you got to get in line. You got to get in line, get single file, and run down this group. More cars should be able to run down 3 cars, but they're not able to do it right now at this moment, like you said.
No, it's not working, and they're vocally getting frustrated in that bigger group being led again by Ali Fonseca, Danny Cochran, and Dakota Moniz. There is a dispute over which lane is the faster one to be in. The leaders right now being Ali Fonseca, Danny Cochran, and Dakota Moniz. They're saying, run the middle, everyone follow us, the middle is where we need to be, while some drivers in the back are saying, we're losing time, it doesn't matter where we run. We are losing too much time right now, can we all just drop low? And with that vocal frustration, you're seeing it's just not coming together. They're still 2 by 2, and that lack of communication, lack of real gung-ho of working together isn't there, but it doesn't matter. Caution is out. We're resetting.
Well, it does not matter anymore what they were thinking, because now they're all going to be together. This is going to be really interesting. We see the replay, we see what happens, but Gavin Rogers has not pitted yet. He's going to have to come in, but will anyone else come in? Will they want to ensure that they have enough fuel for green-white checkers? Because now we're in that zone where I think there could be multiple accidents as this group is relined back up right there to 13 Cedric Hunter. I'm assuming that's what the caution's for.
It was a misplaced bump. And I don't know maybe if he ran out of fuel, if maybe it was just a bad bump, but here is the incident that puts us into a restart that changes everything. Nick Crawford into Cedric Hunter. Hunter almost flips in front of Kanata, and that was the group that Gavin Rogers was a part of. And that little bit of a wreck is sending us to a restart inside of regulation. We're gonna have another mad dash. As you see on the telemetry, just right along with Cedric Hunter, and just that bump. The 13 almost goes tumbling.
Yeah, down there. Gets it down into first gear to try to get it going again, so it definitely was not a fuel incident like maybe we were thinking, but just a bad bump like you mentioned, Sam. Not what he wanted to see Cedric Hunter, because he was probably like, no, we gotta go, 8 laps to go, wanted to finish this race clean. But now this gives everyone a chance, including Gavin Rogers, gonna go and get the fuel. I'm assuming he'll get tires as well, might as well, since he's gonna be pitting. And we'll see what happens on this restart, but it's gonna be about 6 laps to go by the time they re-rack them.
I mean, looking at this, Justin, I mean, this has got to be heartbreaking for Lucky Ducks. They were in complete control. It was a wait for Gavin Rogers to pit, and then you were most likely going to find yourself in victory lane for a chance to win between the trio of teammates. Instead, you're going to have whole entire field making the hard decision. Do you pit for fuel and tires? Gavin Rogers, of course, has to pit. Everyone else behind the 75, they've got the decision to make. Do you pit or do you stay out? Lucky Duck stays out. Everyone else, do they make the decision of going to pit road?
I would say if you have enough fuel, you probably don't want to give up the track position unless you're close on the green-white checker, just in case. You definitely want to get a couple gallons then, because if other drivers start running out, if we go into multiple green-white checkers, could add 5-6 laps to this race. So you want to make sure you are insured to be able to go the extra distance, just in case. Gavin Rogers, he'll be in good shape. Anyone else that pits would also be in good shape as well.
Gavin Rogers was able to find himself going over 39 laps. Again, there was some laps that were under pacing, so it enabled him to go a little bit further, but that's one of those things here tonight where there are just a couple of drivers over 27 laps of fuel and tires, but this caution and pacing is going to help them. But if you're just joining us now, well, what a perfect time to join with us, as here's our race report. So far, a ton of cautions have kind of changed this race. Early on, we had a lot pop up. We just had a major long green flag run as it brings out our 5th caution with less than 10 laps to go. Justin, I mean, we look at that lead change number, 38 lead changes here tonight, and we've seen 3 wide, almost 4 wide for the lead position, and we're going to be seeing just that here on this restart.
Well, we are going to see it on the restart. You can see the 3 team cars. They're going to be up front, but they are going to be a little bit split up. We're going to have probably 2 on the inside, 1 on the outside. Can they get lined up? And where will they want to be? Will they want to be on the inside? Will they want to be in the middle? Will they want to be up high? We've seen them have speed all night tonight. They've been working really great together, but now they're going to have that entire other pack behind them, looking to get around them, get to the lead, get to the front, get out there, get those wins. It's going to be really interesting to see what these drivers do on this restart and how they could get hooked back up together to be that 3-car tandem that they were.
I mean, a 3-car tandem is going to work if you can get it you know, far enough away, you can start to pull away. But I'm curious on their mindset of how do you want to divvy out your positioning? Because Aaron Smith II is going to be the driver in control of deciding if he wants to be on the inside or outside. Most likely he will take the inside row, which will leave Drew Jua on the outside by himself. And as I say that, though, looks like the choice might be for Aaron to be on the outside, leave Drew and Douglas Newbigin on the inside groove, and let Aaron Smith II be in his own lane of trying to hold back the rest of the pack on the outside. This is I was not expecting to see that, but we do know for sure there will be a countdown for those drivers, and they're going to try to make sure they're at least in a group, if not all three in line.
All three in line is probably what they want, but will it happen, and will the rest of the pack allow it to happen? If you see them, maybe sometimes you see the outside car, he'll be able to get a nice jump and then pull down on an inside line, but will the guys behind allow that, or will they be pushing so hard that they're going to go right around this group if they try and slow up and break their momentum to allow themselves to get down there? I think right now these Drew drivers, they might be saying, you know what, we're split apart. We're gonna do what we can do to stay together, but if we can't, we can't. We know we're fast. We'll find each other when we see each other out there, because this ain't gonna be under 5 laps to go.
It's gonna be less than 5. It's gonna be 4 when we take the green. I mean, it's gonna be 5, excuse me, when we take the green, and then it's gonna be down to, do we stay green, or will we find ourselves with the true big one of the night? We've seen a couple of big wrecks that have happened, but the big one, more than 8 over 10 drivers involved with an incident. It is always not a question of if, it's a question of when. It feels like it is building up to a big wreck that might send us into overtime, or will we get an amazing shock that this race will end under green with this restart with 5 laps to go. I want to say thank you to everyone that's joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me up at the booth is Justin Malarkey, Robert Moyer Jr. running productions in the background. We're giving you coverage of the WSSR Cup Series first playoff race of the round of 16, as we are going to be seeing who is setting themselves for a chance to move on to the next round and who is going to be in the biggest hole moving into next week at Darlington. It's Lucky Ducks going to be 1, 2, 3 on the restart into the Geico restart zone. We are green here at Talladega, just in 5 laps to go as they roar down into turn number 1.
I have to go Aaron Smith. Look at this, he pulls down to the inside, so he got the big restart, gets down to the inside, but that allows that outside line to have a chance to get up there. 24 to 5, they're losing momentum. The inside line is hooked up. Danny Cochran, he's going to be the first car to have a chance to pull to that outside line. Is he going to do it, or is he going to stay behind these 3 cars? He's going to do it. You have one guy behind, looked like Mike Tellier below that yellow line, was able to come back up. Didn't want to risk seeing him.
No, he wasn't. He's hooked into the outside wall. Trenton jump hooks Mike Tellier, and we're headed to overtime.
So it's not clear. You saw it right out of the corner of the eye to 97. He was below, but not clear coming back up. Great pickup there, Sam. We'll catch that replay and see exactly what happened. But like you said, this is going to go to overtime now. We're going to be going extra laps, so make sure you have had that fuel tank filled.
And like that, multiple playoff drivers involved in this one. Tellier gets bounced to the inside. He's got Trenton jump, and jump just not allowing, and it is on the driver on the inside for them to move up, but that was just, no one had any time or space, and Tellier forcing the issue. And with that moment, we have actually 2 drivers that are out of this thing, but Tellier he's just trying to muscle his way forward. You're a non-playoff driver influencing playoff drivers' races, and John Forbes' engine is gone. Shane Terrian, your Alliance driver, is caught up in this. And that 97 just over jumping his bounds there. That one is just not going to sit right for a lot of drivers.
The drivers will definitely be thinking, you're below the yellow line. They're thinking he should be backing off, but he's thinking, hey, someone cut me a break, let me in. But with under 5 laps to go, I don't see anyone out there willing to give up a position to allow someone else to come in up off that yellow line. You see right there a little bit of smoke. It looked like out of the 46 machine. He's not going to come into pit row, so maybe he's not thinking he has too much damage. But right now, these drivers are all staying out. They don't want to give up any track position. There's going to be a restart. We're going to see what happens, but when we restart, we're only going to have a green flag, and then the next time by will be the white flag, so these drivers have less time to make their moves.
And rewatching the incident, Mike Tellier, he had been going down below that yellow line for, I mean, it was an incident of where he was below the yellow line for most of that run. And I know we you know, you're frustrated with the driver going below you, but Trenton Jump just absolutely rode on board with him. He left hooked him. It was a complete blatant just hooked. Didn't even make it look like it was a net code. Trenton Jump causing a wreck that takes out a few drivers of competition, and two wrongs do not make it right here in racing, but certainly somebody in that situation is going to be penalized pretty harshly going into next week at Darlington.
Yeah, without exactly seeing how you saw that there, I'm thinking maybe Trenton Jump is thinking, you're not going to make it to this corner. You're going to end up sliding up the track because he won't have banking down there. Mike wouldn't have any banking, so Trenton Jump might be thinking, you know what, I got to get you out of here. I got to hook you to get you out of here because you're going to slide up into me in the middle of the corner and wreck me. So I think it might have been one of those things where I wreck you before you wreck me. Not exactly sure without getting that in-depth analysis exactly what happened, or maybe even talking to both drivers. But like you said, it'll be interesting to see what happens next week going into Darlington with any potential penalties.
And it's got to be disappointing for John Forbes, who just came off of his required damage incident where he was a victim of ARCA braked by Carl Pooler and then involved in this wreck that ultimately terminates the 11's engine. And this is going to be setting us up, waiting for the pace car lights to turn off, but we will be heading into overtime. Trenton is probably going to be in trouble. I don't know if he's going to have any friends moving forward for now hunting for this championship, but do know one thing, it's Lucky Ducks still 1, 2, 3. Last time they were like this, I think back to I think it was 2 seasons ago, or last season at Dover, where they finished 1, 2, 3. They're going to try once again here, Justin, and they prove that they can stay up there for at least the first half of the lap. Now they got to see if they can hold on for a full run here this evening.
And the other thing is they showed to the rest of this field what they were going to do on that restart. So do they do the same thing? And if they do, is the field prepared for the move if Aaron Smith is on the outside expecting to pull down in front of his 2 teammates? Or does the field have something up that they learned that they can do to prevent that move so that those 3 aren't hooked together down on the inside? Or will someone get a big momentum on a restart, pull to the outside, and will be 3 wide like we've seen so many times on these restarts tonight? I mean, the scenarios are endless. You never know what you're going to get at Talladega, but we're going to find out. We got less than 3/4 of a lap to go before we're back to green. So these drivers right now, they're getting ready to pull up onto that steering wheel a little bit tighter to get ready to make these moves and get that potential win that these drivers have all been racing for the last 97 laps.
Trying to get that win and punch your ticket to the next round. Going to be Drew Jua, Aaron Smith II. They want their best chance, best opportunities to go for a championship this season. Other drivers that want to get into victory lane, Zach Hall, Brian McCann, Brian P. Johnson, they're inside of the top 10, still with an opportunity. But if you're just joining us now, we are in overtime. This is our first attempt of 3 if needed. If you've never seen an iRacing overtime attempt before, this is the way it goes down. You are going to be going into a 2-lap shootout. It is a green, white, checkered. Once we go green under our first lap, if we get a quick caution before we take the white flag in that last lap, we will then head into overtime attempt number 2. But if we take the white flag, this race becomes official, and it's all about who crosses the line first. Drivers also been notified going underneath the yellow line is a legal move, but it is the driver that goes below the yellow line that has to move up cleanly, unlike what we saw. Unfortunately, though, that last wreck doesn't fall in line because Trenton Jump just hooked Tellier. So any voucher that Trenton had is out the window. But for the drivers here tonight, who could punch a ticket to the playoffs? Who could play spoiler? It's time to find out. We're into the Geico restart zone. We're green for the first race of the round of 16. Who is winning here at Talladega?
Aaron Smith looks like he might get the big jump. Will he pull down to the inside like he has been? I don't think he has time. Drew Jua actually gets good momentum. Look at this. Aaron Smith gets shuffled to the outside. Was not expecting to see that at all, Sam.
Drew, get a little bit frizz. Oh, no, Zach Hall gets spun. Back up into the field. Aaron Smith and more. Calamity. We're heading into overtime time number 2. This is the big one. Multiple drivers involved and more playoff implications.
Big playoff implications. Have to see exactly what happened to the 70 on that restart. Thought he was going to have a chance to pull down in front of Drew Jua, and instead, next time we saw him, he was up in the third lane, losing momentum as well.
And just in a blink of an eye, drivers were trying to make some big moves, but Drew Jua does a late block to try to stay in front of his teammate that just shuffles everyone back in. Zach Hall, Aaron Smith II, Larry Yingling, Nick Crawford, a lot of drivers that were hoping for some good nights and caught up in this one. And this will send us into overtime attempt number 2. The 1-2-3 finish for Lucky Ducks is now out the window.
Out the window, and just watching that replay, it seemed like the 70 just didn't get going on the restart like he did in the previous one. But then when he got to the corner, he kind of stayed up in that 2.5 third lane, never really went down a side draft, and the drivers behind just made the left and went down to the middle lane and kind of put him up in the third lane, and he lost all his momentum. And then unfortunately the accident happened and he got caught right up in it.
I know one driver that had a very lucky move, able to cut his way through. Ben Keeney over the radio, just elation over his voice on the fact that he was able to survive, but many of other drivers were not able to. Nick Crawford required damage, Mike Tellier already had required damage, and Aaron Smith II joins in on required damage, as they will have to head to pit road, get the damage repair. And the front runners get a little bit more shaken up. Now your new top 5 is going to be Drew Jua, Danny Cochran, Douglas Newbigging, Brian McCann, and Dakota Moniz in the 5 machine running 5th.
And then running 6 going to be Cody Reed, who we know has a lot of super speedway speed. Tyler Dengler in 7th, having a nice night right there for him. Zach Hall 8th, Tom Warren 9th, GT Irizarry in 10th position. He was a driver that you talked about as Sam. He was caught up in some incidents earlier in this race, but able to keep the car clean since, and is now running inside the top 10. So that's the point that we've been making all night tonight to everyone watching. You got to be in this race at the end to have a chance to win, because 10th to first place can happen really easily in the final 2 laps if you make the correct moves.
Drivers over the radio that were caught up in that wreck are trying to get clarification on how bad their damage is. Zach Hall, one of the primary ones, who runs in 8th place. No front clip for the 32, as he's hoping that he still has full strength in power for his engine. Hoping that maybe the draft will keep him in position. Not sure if he's going to be gaining any spots, but wow, what a wreck. And guess what? We could still have another one here tonight. We are in overtime attempt number 2 of 3 currently. First one didn't last very long, as Lucky Ducks goes from potential 1-2-3 to wiping out one of their own, as Drew Jua, which we've seen this before, Justin. Early in the season, Drew Jua was notoriously known for being aggressive and almost racing like he has no care, feeling like he's the one who's going to be up front, and sometimes he would wreck himself, or he had, factors outside of his control that would take him out of a race in the middle after showing so much strength in the beginning. Right there on that restart, got a little bit overzealous on a hard block to the outside, and then back on his teammate that kind of ricocheted through the field on that accordion effect. It seems like this 77 is making its call. He wants this win, and he wants it so badly to lock himself into the next round.
And he's doing what he needs to do at the end of this race, because he's out front, so he knows that he has the car, has the skill, and then obviously has the speed, but more importantly, he's going to be lining up most likely on the inside. I would assume he's going to pick the inside and have his teammate behind him, giving him a big push. And then on the outside is going to be Danny Cochran and Brian McCann. They're going to have the restarts down on that outside line. I think the problem with the outside line late in this race is everyone on the inside line, Sam, they're stuck down there. They got to push. The guys on the outside, some of those drivers, they bail and they go up to the third lane, and that kind of hurts that outside line, and they don't have the speed like they had maybe in the beginning of this race when drivers were more likely to stay 2x2. So this is be something that we'll have to keep an eye on this restart. But most importantly, it's going to be get up through that gearbox and go, go, go.
Who is going to have the better run out of the exit at turn number 2 heading into 3 is going to be one of the bigger questions setting up for this white flag, because you also want to be up front This is only our second attempt of 3. We still could go into attempt number 3, and if we go into attempt number 3, this race could end under caution. So you have to get up front as quickly as possible, which might ensue some of these drivers and make moves that they would not have made previously. But if you're just joining us now, we are in overtime at attempt number 2. If you find yourself with getting caught up in an incident under our first lap and bringing out a yellow, we will go into overtime attempt number 3. But if we are able to stay green for this first lap and take the white flag, we will then find ourselves racing to the end, and this race becomes official. And here we go. Justin, any final thoughts before we potentially take what could be our final restart of the evening?
Well, we are now under 3 to go, 2 to go, coming like you said. I mean, what you have to do is make your moves, because if the caution comes out and you get another restart, that would be the final one. If the caution comes out really quick, you might not have a chance to make the move. So I think you're going to see ultra aggressiveness out of these drivers tonight. Pretty much what we've seen all race long, but I think it's going to be even crazier. The runs, the cutoffs, no one's going to be given any inch. If you're below that yellow line, drivers are definitely not going to be letting you come up. So you're going to have to make some smart decisions, but we're going to be coming through this trioval, getting ready to come. Take 2 to go, green, white, checkered, get back to here, take the white flag. Race could be it, so make your moves soon.
Into their Geico restart zone, and we are green. This is potentially going to be the final restart of the evening. Lucky Duck's going to be in line on the inside. They're able to count down and take off immediately, and now it's going to be seen. Where do you go if you're Drew Jua? Douglas Newbigin, they ride high, trying to get in front of Danny Cochran. It's going to leave Dakota Moniz. Cody Reed going to be on the inside groove. Danny's going to drop low below the 7. Will we see a block from Drew? I wouldn't be surprised if we don't, as they're going to be staying side by side off the exit of turn 2.
Biggest question answered right there. Drew Jua stays up there wrecking.
GT Rosari. He's now going to be getting involved with Tom Sinchek. We stay green for now. It's Lucky Ducks 1-2, but Dakota Moniz to the inside for 3rd place.
And those two, the 7 and the 77, they're breaking away from these cars. Are they going to be able to hook up and stay and keep that momentum, or is this cars behind? They're side by side, so they're not going to have the big momentum. They're pulling away, Sam. Will they be able to do this for the whole time, or coming to the white flag?
The strongest competitors for the night. They've been up front. They thought they had the win secured earlier on, but the white flag is in the air. This race is official. It's about who's going to cross the line first, and right now it is Drew Jua, Douglas Newbigin, but the run is building up. Dakota Moniz trying to go to the inside and try to cut up this field if possible and hold back as much as he can to side draft. Drivers are bouncing back and forth for 5th and 6th position. They're going to be 3 wide for 3rd position, but it's going to be Tyler Dangler. Massive push to the Lucky Ducks machines. Tyler drops low. It's now going to be Drew Jua all on his lonesome. Tyler Dangler trying to get underneath the 77. Tyler Dangler is there. He's side by side. Tom Bourne also trying to get in the mix. They're wrecking. It's now just going to be down to 3 drivers, 4 if possible. Dangler's going to be right behind Drew Jua, but Jua's got the momentum. Lucky Ducks, or will it be Dangler? It's Drew Jua at the line.
And Tyler Dangler, 2nd place, 19 machine. Danny Cochran, 3rd. Cody Reed, 4th. Ollie Fonseca, 5th. Sam, I think 4 guys came across that line that were not in that accident. We talked about it all night. You got to be able to finish these races. So those top 4, they finished without damage. The rest of the field kind of ping-panging off of each other back there. Big accident at the end. We'll catch the replay here shortly. But Drew Jua with the win after really dominating the last half of this race, it seemed.
A crazy run to the end. And it's Drew Jua taking every advantage possible to stay up front, and saw all of his gunners behind him get taken out. But ultimately it was the 77 who will take the victory. His teammate Edward Shore Jr. will be there to give the congratulatory taps. But Drew Jua with this win, welcome to the round of 11, and he doesn't have to think very hard about Darlington next week, as the 77 will enjoy this one. Also, I want to say congratulations to Tyler Dangler, one of his best finishes in WSSR history for himself. Will be in 2nd place. Danny Cochran 3rd. And we'll see if we talk to a spotlight driver as we will step away. Like I said, when we come back, we'll talk to our top 3. We'll find out who our spotlight driver is right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the WSSR Cup Series. Tonight was the start of the playoffs for the round of 16, your first race of 2 for this round. Talladega, this race might have changed everything moving forward of who's the top contenders to watch out going into Darlington next week. We know one driver that is feeling a high here tonight, finally able to get himself into victory lane. We bring in Drew Jua. Victory lane moment, this 77. Drew, it has been a long fought battle to get into this position for a win. You had to fight back everyone behind you. Man, how are you feeling after this one?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good, honestly. I knew we were going to be fast at super speedways. I called it last week. It was a lot of fun, and I got a lot of damage earlier. I think I had 3 minutes 30 damage earlier in the race, and I decided to take the full damage because it's the front nose, and it can kill your whole momentum if you don't have it fully repaired. So I decided to repair it. Got a caution when I really needed it. We were running up front there, and I think Doug told me that 2 teams, like a team of 2, there are a couple people picked basically. And that's when I kind of decided I was going to push Aaron, and I told Gavin to get pretty close to my bumper off the corners, and it was really starting to work. And we tried to communicate with Gavin when we went down to pit. I don't think he maybe didn't read it or something. I'm not sure. But me, Doug, and Aaron were flying, and we would have had that race by 10 seconds if the yellow didn't come out. And then, GWCs, plate tracks, it's going to be a little bit chaos. So Doug and I worked well there at the final GWC. He kind of got off my bumper, and it was all just pretty crazy. I knew I had to block the runoff for, and we were smooth sailing. So super fun race. Glad to get the first one of the season. It's been a long time coming, and it's pretty fun.
Drew, congratulations on the win. It's exciting for you. And just my question would be, is on the previous green-white checkered, what exactly happened there? Did you get a chance to talk to Aaron? And just to see if you guys, I was just curious on what happened there on that restart. It seemed like the restart before he was able to get down to the inside. Was that the plan?
Yeah, the plan was kind of just not really you're on your own basically, but like he would have the top, and it's a dominant line here, and we were able to get him down, and we were all 3 clear, and we were doing good there. And then the next restart, it didn't go the same way. We didn't get the best jump. He didn't get the best jump. He wasn't able to get clear in front of us. And I don't really know what happened. I just looked to my right, and he was 3 wide. We were 3 wide. So, yeah. And then I threw kind of a bad block on Danny, and then came down when I shouldn't have on Doug, and I kind of caused that stack up. So I'm sorry to people that were involved in that wreck. That was not my intention. I was just trying to look out for my right rear, and maybe cause one too many blocks. So, yeah, super enjoyable race, like I said. But yeah, sorry to those that I kind of affected there.
Well, Drew, with this win, you found yourself locked into the round of 11. What is now going to be your goal moving forward with Darlington next week, and knowing that some of the playoff contenders, there's got to be a lot of them aiming for a win in your in situation next week?
Yeah, it's just going to be about, not making any enemies. I'm probably going to run a quiet race. That's if I don't qualify up front. I kind of want the extra playoff points. That always helps it there. But just since I'm locked in, I might as well kind of play it safe and not really ruff any feathers. So I'm looking forward to Darlington. It's definitely nice that you don't have to really worry about points with the win. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, we cannot wait to see how you perform next week, Drew. But for tonight, congratulations on the win. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any more shout outs.
Yeah. Just want to shout out John for picking me up and running this league. Shout out to you guys in the broadcast booth. Shout out to Meals for Wheels. If you haven't already, checked them out. And shout out to Nexus Esports. And happy to lock myself in. And we'll see you next week at Darlington.
That will be your winner here tonight at Talladega. It's Drew Jua in the 77. Enjoy this one, Drew, and good luck next week.
Thank you.
As we move along from victory lane, we head down to second place to a driver that honestly could be even more excited than what Drew is. We have Tyler Dangler with us. Tyler, you see the Squidward SpongeBob machine out there on track. Yeah, coming off of 4, you had a chance to maybe go for a move, but it just seemed like Drew was too far away. But man, how are you feeling coming away second here tonight?
Honestly, Sam, I really don't know how to feel. I definitely didn't want to wreck Drew, but I definitely really wanted that win. I just feel like I needed a couple more miles per hour to be able to get to him and make some sort of move.
Hey Tyler, it's awesome to hear from you up here. I mean, like you said, you didn't want to risk causing an accident at the end, but I mean, you were having such a great race right there at the end. I mean, is there anything you could even have done differently on the restart, just getting up through the gears or choosing a different line that maybe could have just gave you that momentum? I mean, you did a heck of a job avoiding all the incidents at the end.
Well, Justin, initially I wasn't even gonna run tonight or even run it past the stage, just because I had other things going on and I wasn't exactly sure how I was feeling about racing tonight. But as you can see, I'm very excited that I did run out the whole thing because a second place definitely wasn't in my cards at all. For the last lap, I mean, I was just kind of taking the runs as they went. I was a little confused on a backstretch when Danny went down low underneath Dakota, but that gave me enough of a run to be able to give Doug and the other Lucky Duck drivers a bump. I thought maybe they'd wreck each other, but I think I went, hope not. And then I think I had a shot to maybe get underneath Jua. He and I tapped each other, and I'm thinking, oh, I got old tires. I'm not sure if I'm going to spin out or not.
I mean, overall, Tyler, it was a great run for yourself. I know making it to all these races sometimes can be hard to make, but I know we've got the rest of the playoffs. Are you planning on trying to show up for the rest of them? And are there any races that you kind of have circled up that you'd like to perform well at?
Well, as of right now, I know that I'm not going to be there for Darlington. Darlington's never been a track that I have preferred racing at, so I'll probably leave the playoffs and the other professionals to race there. Other than that, I forgot what the schedule looks like, so I'll probably go week by week basis. Want to leave the playoff guys to have their fun, try to win a championship. I'm just here to have fun the rest of the season.
Well, Tyler, again, congratulations on one of your best finishes in the WSSR. Enjoy this one, but before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any more shout-outs.
Well, firstly, I'd like to thank you guys for broadcasting tonight. I'd also like to thank Cody and everyone else in my chat left. But Cody, Joshua, Ollie, Dakota. I think Gaudio was in there. Poor Gaudio got involved in 2 wrecks, and that basically solidified his night to be over. I'd like to say, hi, Mom. How you doing? You'll probably look back at this later. I'd like to thank my wonderful girlfriend for being supportive. She's going to do great when the Better Half Dash for the ISRC Truck Series comes up, so stay tuned for that. And I think that's it.
Well, that will be your second place finisher here tonight in the 19 SpongeBob Squidward machine of Tyler Dangler. Tyler, congratulations on this finish. Enjoy it, and good luck next week at Darlington.
Thank you so much, Sam.
As we move on from second place, we go down to third to a driver that had a lot of ups and downs and some scary moments there late with some of those restarts. We have the 2 machine of Danny Cochran. Danny, you were almost involved with the second to last wreck, and then near the wreck there late off of 2 going into turn 3. What was going through your mind in those final moments here tonight to come away third?
I just wishing I had more help, honestly. I mean, it felt like it was me against the world right there. The 7 and the 77 and the 70 when he was up there were all working together, and then those guys behind me hung me out to dry on that last restart. Wish it would have went green. Fell victim to a couple questionable blocks there on that second to last restart. I mean, we were primed. Me and Zach were going to make something happen there, but yeah, I mean, more than anything, what was going through my head the whole time is just I couldn't believe that I was I was getting sucker holed that way more than anything.
Hey, Danny, congratulations on that third place finish. You talk about with the help out there or the lack of help sometimes out there. I mean, when you're sitting out there and you feel like you don't have the support from behind with someone going to follow you when you make the move and then you see 3 cars in front who you know are going to be a team, what options are you have out there besides really just trying to get through the gears and get up there and get a great restart and side draft the heck out of him and hope the guy behind you is going to push?
I mean, I feel like you just kind of summed it up right there. That's really all you can do, Like in that situation we were in, the 70 left a hole for me, and it was probably a little more risky of a move than I needed to make. But I mean, I'm not in the playoffs. I have no reason not to go for a win. So, it's risk versus reward on my front. But he left that gap, and then the 77 tried to cover me off, and I don't blame him for what he did, but that caused that stack up, which led to that wreck. And I mean, on that next restart, there was just nothing I can do. I couldn't buy a push. So, I mean, like you said, you pretty well summed it up. Just side draft where you can and try and make something happen.
Danny, we got 5 more races left before this season is over. What's your ultimate goal for yourself with these final 5 races left?
Well, I actually myself only have 4. I'm not going to be here next week. I'm actually leaving here in about 2 hours for Daytona this weekend, and I won't be back till next week. But so with my final 4 races, I don't know. I'd like to get a few top 10s, a few top 5s. I mean, realistically, I don't think there's a race left in the schedule that I have a shot at winning. So just going to try and, as they say, stack pennies where I can, and try and bring good results for myself, but more importantly, more than anything, I want to try and bring home that team championship for the Nightmare Fuel guys. We were killing it out there tonight. I mean, I feel like through the midsection of that race, we had it kind of hooked up better than anybody. And there was a spell there where it kind of felt like that 2018 SHR energy, where we were just kind of pulling on the field, which can't last forever, just with the way this draft package is. But we had it rolling, man. So I just want to do my part in bringing home this team championship for these guys.
Oh, we cannot wait to see how you're going to perform to try to help out the team for those final 4 races, Danny. Congratulations on 3rd place here tonight. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any more shout-outs.
Yeah, the first and foremost, Larry Arts Productions, riding on this 2-car tonight. He's also on the 24. Huge thanks to him. All that he does for me and my racing. He's the man. The Nightmare Fuel guys, sucks that some of us were victim of circumstance and had a couple pit road incidents that just kind of killed our night. But shout out to those guys as well. You guys for broadcasting and the admins for putting it on.
Well, thank you for giving us such a great show to call. That will be your 3rd place finisher here tonight in the 2 Larry Art Productions machine of Danny Cochran. Enjoy this one, Danny, and also enjoy heading out to Daytona.
Hey, thanks, guys.
As we move away from our 3rd place finisher, we go to our spotlight driver, who turns out to be 4th. And the reason why, he's the birthday boy. Comes away with a 4th place finish here tonight. No, wanted the win to go back-to-back at Talladega. But Cody, what a run. Like always, you're putting on a great show with your aggressive moves to get up front, like you always do in super speedways in these cars. But man, how are you feeling coming away 4th here tonight?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm going to celebrate both my birthday and the 4th place finish with some chalky milk. Yeah, I'm pretty happy. I wish we could have won. The pack was getting kind of roadblocky near the end, which kind of prevented any more aggressive runs. I could definitely take a lot more of those at the beginning of the race, which is why I can kind of zoom up front real quick. But later on, I was just getting caught. I couldn't make any runs, but yeah, still pretty happy with 4th. I didn't really deserve it. Everybody kind of wrecked coming to the line, but I'll take it.
Hey, Cody, well, congrats on the 4th. Happy birthday as well. My question to you is, what makes you, every time we come to these types of tracks, you're so fun to watch? We talked about it during the broadcast. I remember thinking back to Atlanta. You were like one of the drivers who consistently wanted to go down below that yellow line on the front straightaway at Atlanta, trying to make passes and make moves. It seems like tonight you make the moves. You started in the back. You were up front before we knew it. What makes you, what brings out your personality on these tracks that you just seem to have so much quick speed?
I don't know. It's just something about the super speedways. Like I'm just pretty confident with my moves. I kind of know where my car is. I think that's a big problem with a lot of people causing wrecks is they stick their car and they don't really know where their car is, where the limits of their car is. But I don't know. I've always felt like I'm pretty good at these tracks. I've only ever won a super speedway like league race once, but I don't know. I like being aggressive. I know a lot of people kind of get mad over the radio or kind of get scared with like moves I make, but I don't think I've ever actually caused a wreck at a super speedway. So I guess that's a good thing. But yeah, I don't know. It's just my driving style at restrictor plate tracks. I don't know. I want to have fun. I want to go up front. I want to contend for the win, even if it's lap 3. Like I'm tired of There's a good point in the race where people were running the middle line, like a line. I think like Josh. I was talking to him in the voice chat. He was second during that point, and I was complaining to him because he was keeping them single file, and I want to get some lines in there. I want to be able to like weave in and out of traffic because that's fun. I don't like single file racing here. That's just boring. But I think that's really it. I just get bored whenever it's just single file. So I want to go up front. I want to have fun.
It certainly makes our job a lot more fun to watch you try to carve your way through the field, Cody. But again, coming away 4th place here tonight. We have now 5 more races left before the season is over. With these 5 races, what's your ultimate goal for yourself? What are you hoping to achieve personally for the rest of the season?
Hopefully to win a race. I have some pretty decent tracks. I mean, I'm not in the playoffs anymore, so I'm just kind of running in for fun, which honestly might be a good thing. I feel like whenever I'm kind of not really thinking, I do better. So I mean, Darlington, I'm pretty decent with the next gen. Richmond, I'm good at like short tracks like that. Same with North Wilkesboro. I think those 3 I've marked down, especially Richmond and North Wilkesboro, as races I could win. The other few I'm gonna suck at. I'll tell you that now with no practice because I don't know. I'm pretty slow at those tracks, but I don't know. I'm just gonna try to win. That's pretty much it.
I love to hear that that's your goal, and we cannot wait to see how you perform at those tracks you enjoy, Cody. But for tonight, congratulations on 4th. Happy birthday. Enjoy your birthday. And before we let you go fully, any shout outs, the floor is now yours.
Right. I'd like to thank the admins as usual for putting this league on. It's a lot of fun. I'd like to thank you guys for putting on a good show. I'd like to thank my dad, he's watching right now, and my girlfriend's also watching right now. She never really watched my league races, so that had me a little nervous there at the end, but came home for us, so it's not too disappointing. But thank you to her for watching. That's pretty much it. Thanks for my teammates. It was a lot of fun. We were goofing around in the voice chat, and yeah, that's it.
Well, Cody, it was fun watching the COD Monsters out there on track, terrorizing up front. And congratulations on 4th. Enjoy this one, and good luck in the future races. And hopefully, you'll find yourself in a victory lane here shortly.
Heck yeah, thank you.
As we move away from our interviews here tonight, we get ready to take a look at our unofficial results here this evening. Again, this was our first race of 2 for the round of 16. Next week, we'll conclude the round of 16, and we'll be eliminating 5 drivers out of the playoffs. And points are being tallied right now, and some drivers are already being notified that they might not be racing next week, as some penalties could be pretty harsh. We'll wait for the official confirmation on penalties, but I think next week we're going to get a much clearer picture of who's in a must-win, who might be already out of the playoffs, and it is going to be a crazy one. But for tonight, the way the playoffs begin, it is Drew Jua driving his first ever WSSR Cup Series victory. Tyler Dangler with one of his best ever finishes in WSSR in 2nd. Danny Cochran coming away 3rd. Cody Reed 4th. Ollie Fonseca 5th, with Tom Bourne in the 06. And Bronson Stafford coming away with some top 10 runs for the both of them. 8th is Zach Hall with no front clip, and somehow skipping away with the 8th place finish. 9th goes to Larry Yingling. And Trenton Jump, I think he's going to be the catalyst of a lot of talking conversations throughout the week, coming away 10th.
Well, and I'm going to be talking about the driver in 11th position. He was running inside the top 3 for what seemed like the final 30-some laps of this race. Ends up 11th position. Ken Campbell 13th. Brian P. Johnson down there in 15th. But Gavin Rogers, driver who was leading at the end, had to get the fuel, ends up 18th. Ben Keeney, we talked about him. He's running up inside the top 5. We did not want to give him the commentator's jinx. He was able to come home in 21st position. Cedric Hunter, you saw right at the end, kind of getting that accident. Hated to see that for him. Vincent Sora, he had the issue on pit road that regulated him to 24th place finish. And then Ryan Kelly, Nick Crawford, John Forbes, they were all in trouble. Aaron Smith leading towards the end. It ends up back into the low 20 positions. And then you get to the back half right here, the last of the field. 31st through 37th, those drivers did not have the nice they wanted to. Anthony Gaudio, we saw him caught up in a couple accidents and then ends up being the 37th place finisher tonight.
A lot of drivers going to be upset with tonight, but others with elation and glee with the way they finished. For Drew Jua, Tyler Dangler, they're going to be very excited, but no focus. Well, a couple of other drivers that are excited to get back to racing action. Guess what? Tomorrow night, hopefully my voice is back and I'm not sick. Something just came over me during this broadcast, but tomorrow night's going to be the debut of a new season for the Doghouse Cup Series as they head off to Indianapolis to start their new season. Points racing, you saw last week they were at Atlanta. That was just a fun fundraiser. This upcoming tomorrow is going to be all about open setups and who is prepared for the first race of the season. Then next week, we got road course racing for the ISRC Truck Series on Monday. We find ourselves getting prepared for some super speedway racing on Tuesday with the Challenger Racing League. And then we're right back here next week. Darlington, who's in, who's out? The round of 11 is calling. But first, you have to survive the Lady in Black at Darlington. Justin, any final thoughts before we call it a night, as that's our future schedule we have here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting?
I'm going to keep it short and sweet tonight. We said it all night tonight. You got to finish these races. These drivers that were caught up in incidents, they did not get a chance to finish these races, and it gave up a lot of points. Next week, Darlington, it's going to be as aggressive with pack racing, but you got to stay out of that wall, keep the fenders straight, do not slide up there and hit the wall because you will be in trouble. It's all about keeping it straight, getting those points, and then we'll see what happens next week.
Next week's going to be a pleasure to cover. We cannot wait for it. But for tonight, we want to say thank you to all those that were with us here in chat, commenting, chatting, reacting, liking, subscribing, all of the above. Thank you so much for interacting with our broadcasts all throughout the week. But for myself, Sam Dyer, for Justin Malarkey, for Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you so much for joining with us as we get prepared for tomorrow night. Hopefully, again, my voice is back for the Doghouse Cup Series. It's going to be a good one. But next week, don't want to miss it. Darlington is going to be the cutoff race for the round of 16. If you can't wait until then, we'll see you at Indianapolis for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series tomorrow night for our next Freaky Fast broadcast.